have signed up before the end of January 2021. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome to my car. This is Wendy, and she's my favorite. She would love to have your name engraved on her so you can be with her every single time she goes on a safari here in Djuma. If you become a Wild Earth Explorer, you will have the opportunity to buy an engraved tag which we will attach to her. We will make sure to send you a digital picture to show you exactly where you are sitting on her. You will have front row seat in every single sighting. My name is Lauren, and I'm currently working in Djuma Private Game Reserve here in South Africa. I love answering your questions during the live safaris. It's my favorite part. It feels like you're on the vehicle with me, and I'm able to teach you exactly what you want to know. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, you must go to the live safari page and ask your question below the live feed.
This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Our impala is slowly enjoying a little bit of grazing in the long summer grasses under some perfect conditions for an animal because it's cloudy, it's overcast, and it really isn't as hot as it was this morning. And I'm sure the likes of the impalas are thoroughly appreciating it. Unfortunately, they're not going to be the sole focus of our drive. We are going to be following up on all of the different things that we had this morning. Djuma was thriving with lots and lots of animals, so I'll be heading down to Chitwa, see if we can catch up with Thandi and Cub, or maybe Sibuyi's cubs, and I think Steve is going to go follow up on the Shimongwe lioness and cubs. So there's going to be lots of promise from Djuma itself, down in Swalu and in Ngala. They too will be following up on tracks of the various animals they had this morning. It promises to be a very, very good afternoon, and like I say, the weather conditions are perfect. It's nice and cool, and so hopefully there'll be lots and lots of activity on this, your very own live African safari. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to South Africa and to this, your live safari. Hopefully you are comfortable and you're ready to go, and you are enjoying, well, a few snacks, maybe like this impala is, wherever you may be. Impala looks very happy. It's busy eating all the seeds off of the grass, which is quite interesting. It's taking advantage of all the nutrients that's on top. My name is Tristan. On camera, I've got Impo. Yes, it is afternoon, actually. It's not morning, and it is a very warm welcome to you guys. Hopefully you are going to enjoy the next few hours as we take you on a bumble through Africa. Remember that we want you guys to be a part of this whole experience, and so in doing so you need to basically ask us questions and engage with us, and you can do so using the hashtag WildEarth at FC for the YouTube chat stream, as well as the various other pages in the comment sections. You'll be able to get hold of us and ask us whatever you may like. And for the kiddies, remember that you guys are just as important for our show, and you can send through your questions to kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. Right. The plan for this afternoon, as I said, was that myself and Steve are going to go follow up on the various cats that we had this morning. It was a plethora of animals. There was mating lions, there was 2 different leopard sightings, there was the shumungwe and the cub. So lots happened on Djuma this morning, as well as a few ellies. And it's also exciting because we have Pinda and Pridelands are both going to be out this afternoon, as also Pinda is back. It's been away for the past few days. So it'll be exciting to see what they've been up to and what's happening on that side of the world. And lots of promise. Now, there is another thing that we would like for all of you to participate in, and this is a pretty special sort of request in some respects, because Steve and I were actually chatting about this a few days ago, and I think it's something that we all as humans need to take into account. And if you're watching the show, then generally you are a part of this sector of the world that is in sort of connection with nature. A lot of you probably found that more so than ever during this global pandemic. And essentially what we would like from all of you guys is to see videos basically from you, 30-second video, preferably in a horizontal format, of you connecting with nature. So if you would like to do that and like to kind of participate, we'd like to see how many of our viewers have changed during this kind of period, and have found nature and its soothing and kind of ways that will change and affect all of our souls. So if you would like to do that, remember that you can send it through on all the various things that I've just listed off in terms of being able to ask questions. So at FC on YouTube, you can send it to WildEarth Live on Facebook, as well as hashtag WildEarth on Twitter. It'll be really cool to see, and just from a personal note, having known what it's like to be in lockdown, you know, for us as guides, a lot of people kind of were jealous in many ways that we did get out, but there was a portion of time that both Steve and I were in lockdowns ourselves, and we know full well what the impact of having to be at home, not being able to get out and see loved ones, but also not being able to get out into nature. As somebody who spends most of their life outdoors, it can be a really tricky thing. But as soon as you do get into nature, and whether that be in your garden, or into a park, or into any sort of place where the natural world is able to just take you away from the day-to-day problems, well, that's a very, very special thing. And it was amazing for me during lockdown is how much I spent time just in my own garden watching birds, looking at all the various insects and how they kind of coexisted within an urban environment. And it's fascinating to see how the natural world is able to take us away from our problems, and for that moment in time you can connect with something that's a little bit more primal and basic, but you can find deep joy in just being out and about in the wilderness. So if you would want to participate in that and share your story of how nature's kind of played a part in your life during this whole crazy time that we're in, it would be really, really cool to see that from you guys. You live every day what makes our souls kind of tick, and what's helping us deal with what's going on at the moment by being out and about. Now, one of the animals that probably has the most profound effect on many of us in terms of our mental conditions and our ability to process things is an animal that Steve has found. And so let's send you across to him so you can say good afternoon.
Good afternoon and welcome to the other vehicle on Djuman this afternoon, where we've got a beautiful elephant bull who's enjoying his Marula afternoon snacks. We're quite lucky as well because our snacks arrived today. So hello everybody, my name is Steve, joined by Theo, aka Holidaytainment, and we're very happy to have him back on the vehicle. He's feeling a little bit better. Welcome aboard everybody. I'm going to be trying to follow up on the two lionesses, or the lioness with the cub that Tristan had this morning. But we thought we might as well stop with this elephant. And I'm sure Tristan has already been informing you about the videos that we'd like to put out there. It's important, as you all know, to help others. Many people are feeling very stressed and anxious out there in the world due to what's been going on and with the lockdowns. And if any of you have found solace in nature, please, you take a video of yourself talking about what you've done and what you've done to help yourself sort of find a little bit of solace in life. The purity of nature is very infectious. And if you send a video of some ducklings or a butterfly or whatever it might be, your dog running around the garden, whatever it might be that seems to make you smile and happy, I have no doubt it will make others smile and also be quite happy, and that is definitely the aim we'd like to put out there. So we're going to be doing a post about this to ask people to send in videos of wildlife and of animals and insects, maybe even just of you or sitting on a nice rocky outcrop or whatever it might be, your quiet place in the garden where you sit and meditate, whatever it might be, your willow that dances to the wind in the garden. And tell us how it's helped you, so we'll be able to encourage others who are maybe struggling a bit more than you are. So if you could please send videos like that, about 30 seconds or so, to #WildEarth on Twitter, or @WildEarthLive on Facebook, or @WildEarthOfficial on Instagram. We'll be reminding you over the coming days. I think it's a wonderful initiative Emily spoke with us today about. And we are super blessed, Tristan and myself and the cam ops we have here. We've been in this wonderful place, what we'll call our little bubble. Even on my little getaway now, I was in a bubble. And I know not everybody's able to escape to a bubble, so let's bring each other together through these posts and through videos where we can laugh at each other, maybe a little bit comical if need be, if that works for you, if you've got a little bit of a comical vein in your body, by all means. Finding solace in nature. Very important time. Obviously, many of you get to watch us on live TV. We're not always live, not always available. But what a wonderful afternoon it is out here. The cyclone that Tristan's been talking about is on its way. Clouds have moved in to make it a nice cool afternoon. I don't anticipate any rain today, but definitely on its way. What's the famous saying? The calm before the storm. Dean, he does look like he's in a good condition, but he's definitely not that big. He's definitely got a bit of growing to do. He's a young bull. He's a very relaxed bull, but he's still quite young. He's only in his 20s. But then sometimes size can be deceptive. If you think about it, the vegetation is up to my almost up to my waist, above my waistline. He's loving the fruits of the marulas. Remember, everybody, that marulas have male and female trees. And so the trees you generally find elephants under at this time of year are the females that produce the fruit. But it is not only us out this afternoon. Tswalu Kalahari with Mo is out and about. And, well, they'd like to say good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is a beautiful afternoon here at Tswalu Kalahari. Nice and warm, though. There's a bit of a cloud build-up, so hopefully we'll get some shade provided by the clouds soon. We are back in the area where we found the lions this morning. Good. By the way, guys, my name is Maurits. Behind the camera, we've got Craig. And so, yeah, we're back in the area where the lions were found this morning. We are going to swing past where we left them, but also one of the other plans is some of the other guides had the lions calling this morning, and they believe it was at least one of the males, but maybe possibly two, in the same areas where we had the females with the cubs. So possibly they might still be in the area if they didn't move too far away, which I doubt because it heated up quite quickly. So hopefully we'll be able to get them, and maybe a little later on get them joining up with the females and the cubs. That would be great. So we'll have to see what the afternoon has to offer, but we know those females are hungry, so even if we don't find the males, we might have some action happening with the females looking to hunt, or at least moving towards the waterhole, and, you know, the cubs playing a little bit and those types of things. Cubs are always cool, so that is the main plan for the afternoon, to try and find the males, and hopefully, if we do get lucky to find them, or if they find us, we'll see them linking up with the females as well. But yeah, you can just see those clouds starting to roll in now. Very, very beautiful. With a hot day like it is today, you know, with us all having had all the rain throughout the season so far, there's a great possibility that when it warms up like it is doing right now, you get a little bit of cloud buildup and a late afternoon shower. That's not impossible at this point. We've had plenty of rain this season, so lots of moisture around to be evaporated and then form clouds for a little bit of rainfall. But yeah, guys, we're going to move on, see if we can find those lions and see what the afternoon has to offer.
Good afternoon, everybody, and a very warm welcome to Anpion Phinda Private Game Reserve, where we've come out this afternoon in search of a female leopard, and we've been checking around in the area, and we've just come across this really nice herd of buffaloes that are just grazing slowly towards us. And you'll see some of them covered in mud, or the mud is drying up. And so my name is Grant, and behind the camera is Glenn. And yeah, we've come out in search of a female leopard that was in a tree this morning. She had a warthog kill down below, and while we were searching in the area, she has moved. We're not too sure where yet, but we're not going to give up just yet. But around the corner we came across this really nice herd of buffaloes, and they look as though they are slowly heading towards water once again. And you'll see, if you look at the sides of them, the bodies of most of these buffaloes, you'll see some dried mud. And the mud looks really dry now, which gives us a clue as to when they were wallowing. And I'm quite sure it was much earlier this morning. The mud looks really, really dry. There's not even any sort of damp patches, and it's sort of cracking already. And so this time of day, it's quite typical for these buffaloes to be just feeding and slowly making their way towards some water. And they would have been resting up during the heat of the day. And I'm quite sure that they've only recently, maybe within the last half an hour, gotten themselves up and moving, and slowly feeding in the direction of another little watering hole and mud wallow. Now you might be able to hear the wind is blowing quite strongly this afternoon. So this morning we actually had some rain, and so these buffaloes would have fed a little bit later into the morning. At the moment, this time of year, it's really, really hot by sort of 8 or 9 o'clock, and the buffaloes would have done the process that they're doing now. So woken up early in the morning, fed slowly towards some water, drank, mud wallowed, and then fed again slowly, finding a spot in some shade to rest for the day, for the heat of the day, and then, whoops. That looked like an older cow that was just a little bit aggressive with a younger bull. He maybe got a bit too close to her or her calf. I hope you could all hear that moo sound. Very similar to a cow. And that sound, those grunts and moos, are sounds that we do quite regularly hear when we're sitting with a buffalo herd. It's quite pleasant actually to just sit with a herd quietly and just listen. You can hear them plucking grass. And if we listen carefully, you'll hear the scratching when one of them finds a tree to scratch against. Rosalind, that's a good question. So, I mean, it depends on the genetics, but the normal weight for a big Cape Buffalo bull is somewhere in the range of 800 kilograms, going all the way up just over a ton. And so they are incredibly big animals. And to add to the weight, they are extremely powerful. If you look at this, the second one in there, Glenn, you'll see, can you see on her side, it looks almost like she's brushed past a thorn bush. You see those scratches down her side? So they do have quite tough skin. And I was mentioning earlier that when you're sitting with a herd, sometimes you'll hear one scratching against a tree. But that looks as though it's just, as she was moving and feeding, she might have scraped past or through a gap between two bushes and just scraped some of that mud off her side. So it's really, really pleasant sitting here with these buffaloes. For now, I think Glenn and I are going to sit with these buffaloes and just see where they go, because if they go down to the water, it will be quite nice to watch them there. I'm going to send you off to another location.
Welcome back, everybody. We've got a flock of guinea fowl in the road. Busy feeding on the grasses. Find lots of birds on the roads at the moment, lots of animals.
Afternoon station, Finger Mobile.
Lots of animals. It's so dense. I mean, I mentioned before how the elephant was standing in the grass. Let me just fell forward. I get another view. The elephant was standing, and the elephant looks quite small because the grass is so long. But I show you that elephant's still pretty big. Pretty big. And these are very important animals, everybody. Very important, the guinea fowl. First of all, they're an animal that actually does very well in drought conditions. They're able to, as we've all heard the term before, scratch out a living. I was able to scratch out a living. Guinea fowl are able to survive in the harshest of conditions, and they can feed on the dung of other animals, the fermented dung. They can feed on seeds, corms, insects, bulbs. They can dig it all up, and they can scratch. Very important, the distribution of seeds, as well as the scattering of dung. But that's just from a sort of feeding point of view and an ecological point of view on the earth. They can scratch and turn the soil over, distribute the seeds, make a place for the seeds to find purchase. But then also they are regarded as a buffer species when it comes to as a prey animal. Everything from leopard to caracal, serval, wildcat, all the large birds, all feed on guinea fowl when other prey species become less abundant. Because as we know, droughts affect many of the animals. So as soon as they all become less abundant, the guinea fowl actually do well, and they still breed. And that provides a very nice buffer species for many of the predators who have at that point probably taken out many of the other prey that are weak, and then find it quite hard to find anything else to eat. Guinea fowl then form that sort of resource. The helmeted guinea fowl, we get two of them in the Kruger, the helmeted and the crested. The crested is more comprised or more found in the much wetter regions where there's more perennial water and almost sort of foresty, riparian, riverine foresty conditions, such as the Luvuvu River up in the north. I'm trying to think where else. I haven't seen them elsewhere in the Kruger. So I did say we're going to find those lions just to see where they're at so we can follow later. But I'm going to continue with my botanical chats from yesterday. Yesterday we did simple leaves, and today I'm going to show you a whole lot of compound leaves. And we're going to go through stage by stage, so if you keep watching the show over the coming days, you'll really get your botany down. Megan, you think they're really funny looking birds? I think they are as well. If you've seen the crested guinea fowl, they've got little dreadlocks on their head. They look even more ridiculous than these guys. But the breeding plumage, or the adults, have got the blue head with the helmet, and that indicates that they are adults. The youngsters don't have that, and so they don't breed. But look at all of them coming in from the left there. So they breed prolifically. You can have a pair that goes off together, and then suddenly, look at what you've got. You've got a whole host of them. And can you see them feeding on the seeds? Excuse me. Feeding on the seeds one by one. But they're very sustainable. They're not destroying the vegetation. They pick and go, little bit by little bit. And then those seeds will go through the digestive tracts of the guinea fowl and then find themselves deposited further away from where they were fed upon.
About we had a vociferous Ellie that was being full of nonsense and then ran away, but other than that, still fairly quiet this afternoon. We're slowly bumbling towards Chitwa. There's no rush to get there, just taking it very easy as we go along. The main reason actually why I want to go to Chitwa, as much as I want to find the leopards and various other animals that live there, is to try and see if I can find that wood owl that I heard calling last night. It's not something we hear very often. I think it's just a stump that's in the long grass, but I just want to double check. Yeah, it is. Sometimes it can be like two little ears sticking up, and it's actually just a stump. But we heard a wood owl calling from the dam wall last night. So I want to try and head back in that general area and just see at around sort of sunsets, the last half an hour of the show, and see if I can't pick it up somewhere there. It'll be a really cool find. I don't think we've ever had a wood owl live. I'm not sure, maybe we have, but they're not very common up here. It would be the first one for me in the northern Sabi Sands, so we'll just have to see if we get any luck with that. Unfortunately, it's right by the lodge, so it's going to be a bit tricky, but we'll figure it out. We'll make a plan somehow in trying to find it. always like to go slowly here at Baboon Pan because you always things lurking. Seems like all quiet today. Alright, we'll forge our way towards Chitwa. Let's check this little pan here on the left. Nope, nothing there. Okay, onwards towards Chitwa. Hopefully we'll have some luck and get all the things that we're looking for on that side of the world.
So these buffaloes have shifted around a little bit, and what's happened now is they are downwind of us, and you'll see this big bull that this female is now investigating. He's staring at us, and every now and then he lifts up his nose. Oh, okay, and you see that is what I was thinking may happen. And that is literally because they could smell us. Whoa. Relax again. It's not that bad. So you might hear the guides often talk about how animals can be nervous when it's windy because the bush is alive and the bush is moving. And that was a perfect example. The wind is quite strong, and so these buffaloes, once they got to a spot where they were downwind of us, they all kind of stopped what they were doing and watched us, and the rest caught up, and they formed this tight sort of huddle like they're in now, and just lifted up their noses, smelling us. And if you look at them at the moment, you'll see around the edges big bulls and cows, like really impressive horns. But you have to look quite carefully in amongst them. There's no really small calves, but the calves, the younger buffaloes, are all in the middle. And that's their defense formation. So the big, strong buffaloes will be around the edges to protect the youngsters in the middle from any or from whatever the threat or perceived threat, because we're not actually a threat to them. To protect the rest of the herd from the threat. And you see now, once they've realized we weren't chasing them and we're not following them, they've stopped, but they're still investigating us, they're still watching us, keeping a close eye on us. But it was quite something to hear them running away and see all that dust coming up and hear the oxpeckers flying off of them. The poor little oxpeckers didn't know what was happening. So with these buffaloes now that we've spooked them, unfortunately, Glenn and I are going to be moving on from here. We're going to continue looking for that leopard. And I'm going to send you across to Pridelands.
So another afternoon that we get to spend with elephants in the water. Today, it is an elephant bull who has not quite completely submerged himself, but he's almost there. He's just enjoying himself here at Leopard Dam, which was quite cool. My name is Taylor McCurdy, and on camera with me today is Gert, and we're here at Pridelands Conservancy, which is part of Baluli Game Reserve and the Greater Kruger National Park. Like I said, leopard dam, elephant, just enjoying the nice, cool water. He hasn't got any friends today. There's no other elephants around, no younger bulls tailing him. He's quite a big boy. Not the biggest that, of course, we've seen. I was hoping that we'd get you, and Susan's herd would be somewhere in the vicinity. Not yet, but that's what my day is going to consist of, is looking for Susan and seeing if we can find her again, because it was nice to spend a bit of time with her this morning. You can see he's just really, really relaxed at the moment. Not doing anything, not drinking, not splashing about, just investigating with the tip of his trunk. Would really Really just taking it easy. This would be the equivalent of a human soaking in a bathtub with a few scented candles, maybe a glass of wine. But that's pretty much what this elephant is doing right now, just taking a moment to relax. Just don't fall asleep. Because every now and then his eyes look like they're growing quite heavy. That's quite difficult for you to see because we don't have a nice light on our side. Yes, David, a spa day. That's a good way to put it. It's such lovely framing with all the leadwood trees and tambutis and sickle bushes that are surrounding him at the moment. It's quite picturesque. Just blowing a few bubbles. And I don't think we're going to get the greatest audio today just because there's quite a bit of wind. You might be able to hear some of the insects, and then of course there are buffalo weavers, which we normally find around dams. And then there is a woodland kingfisher, but I don't know if I park Gert in a very good spot on those fallen trees. I don't know if you've got a gap through there. I probably have parked us just perfectly that we can't find a little hole. I don't think I've actually put one woodland kingfisher on camera. Let's see. So he's just behind there. We're looking. It's a very abstract shot, Gert. Can you see that just behind the leaves? How cool. So there's just a woodland kingfisher. Do you know what you're going to do, Gert? If you stay like this, everyone, I do apologize. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start the car. So there's going to be a little bit of shaking. Do not panic because I'm going to put the kingfisher in frame. Okay. Are you ready? This is what we do when we're trying to find a gap for leopards. And now we need the wind to blow just slightly. Do you think the next one? There we go. Okay, well, it's going to... I just rolled back into the same position. Very effective. Anyway, it's a bit better now. But makes for an interesting screenshot. Hey, don't you think? Very pretty. Lots of them around at the moment. Probably come closer towards the water's edge. Maybe to have a bit of a plunge bath. Or maybe you'd have seen something to eat. They eat a variety of different things, but they largely eat insects. But with all the tadpoles and things are about, and remember, birds are also opportunistic. It's not going to say no to something like that. You can see all the clouds rolling in. Still hot though, quite muggy, humid, which explains why this elephant is just soaking up and enjoying the water. I'd also like to be sitting in there. Preferably not dirty, brown, buffalo and elephant dung, urine water. Not my favorite. He's at his little island. But now I don't know, Gert, I don't know if it's going to, oh no, it's gone in. So that little island that you can just sort of see, there's quite a few terrapins on there. They're not happy about the elephant getting so close. He's not resting his head on the island. But difficult to see. He almost rolled, not quite rolled over, but he definitely laid further onto his side. You can't sleep in the water, elephant. You're going to go all the way under. There we go. Now he's tucked his whole head up. We can do a handstand. Honestly, sometimes I feel like we need to have a scoreboard where who are on the car, so Gert and I, just rate the elephants accordingly, hey? On their movements, especially at Ndlovu Dam when they all splash around. Synchronized swimming, yes. Perhaps they're preparing for the Summer Olympics, who knows. That's quite cool. Now you might be able to hear all the insects. Buffalo, choo 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 choo. Not buffalo. The buffaloes definitely don't make that sound. Buffalo weavers. A couple of blue wax bulls as well. Let's see how deep it is as he crosses. Oh, this is awesome. This water is going to last for a long time. Sure. Sonia, something I don't know the exact measurement of, but you've asked how big do elephants' ears grow? Very big. Really large. I'm going to say that elephant's ears must be close to almost the longest edge of an elephant. I'm now using my hands, of course. Sorry, that's why my hand popped up into screen, because I always talk with my hands. Do you want me to demonstrate an elephant's ears? As soon as I was doing it. But essentially, the sort of that long edge on that bull over there, so a fully grown elephant bull must be close to about 1 meter. And then obviously the ears are wider at the top, and then they taper down towards the bottom. And I reckon that top section, I'm sure all elephants have different sized ears, as we all have different sized body parts. You see it often, some have wider trunks, some tend to have maybe slightly longer trunks, who knows. And then maybe about maybe less than 1/2 meter, probably about 1/2 meter, the width. But I wouldn't say too much more than that. I'm obviously just guessing. I'm sure somebody has put an average on the size of African elephants' ears. Just remember, if you are going to search or read up in a book, that you read about African elephants, because Indian or Asian elephants have got much smaller ears. Well, that's a trumpet and not a Tyrannosaurus Rex, so I wonder if that's Susan's heard on their way down here. After this, after he does disappear, we'll probably go and investigate those terrifying screams that came from the distance. It sounded like a youngster was maybe trying to suckle, and Mom was saying no. That's normally the case when you hear that sound. Right, but we're going to do that. So we're going to head all the way to the south of Leopard Dam and follow up on those eerie calls. If you go to Ngala to say hello to the team.
So I am sitting here at and Beyond Ngala with a pod of hippos that are being very active at Clara Dam. In the east, it's quite a windy day, it's overcast. We're expecting some rain later tonight. So my name is Tessa, I'm going to be your guide here at and Beyond Ngala for this afternoon safari. And I'm really enjoying all of the sounds that we're getting through this wind here at Clara Dam this afternoon. So if you have a look, the hippos are actually being quite aggressive with each other every now and then. They're popping up out of the water, and they're actually coming nose to nose and almost pretend biting each other. There's also a little baby in this pod, and every now and then you actually see it pop up on the mom's back. They've also been making a lot of noises. We've heard a lot of elephants in the distance. And there's quite a lot of general game that's been coming around as well. There's some impalas, some waterbuck. And we're just excited to see what's actually going to come down here this afternoon. With the strange weather coming in, quite a lot of animals are coming down to the dam, which is a bit unusual, because it's really not that hot today. There's even some sleeping waterbuck in amongst those impalas. And everyone's actually quite active today, except for those waterbuck that are enjoying a nice, relaxing lie down. I think this weather definitely has something to do with it. The wind is making it nice and cool, it's overcast, so it's not too hot. So I'm definitely going to sit here for a while longer and hope that I can find you maybe some more playful hippos a little bit later on. But I'm actually going to send you over to Tristan with his bird while we listen to the bird life over here.
We haven't found spots that we were looking for, but we have found a spotted eagle owl, which is cool. So it's not the wood owl that we were looking for or the leopards, but a very, very welcome view nonetheless. Unfortunately, Thandi and Cub are gone completely. There's no sign of the kill or anything like that. And we came kind of down into the drainage line to look for them, and this spotted eagle owl just flew out of one of the trees close to us and kind of has landed again, which is nice. I don't see another one. Often they will be in pairs, particularly in drainage lines like this. This is, as we know, well, some of you will know, this is where they like to nest, is along these drainage lines on the banks. They find little places that they can put the chicks. Although at the moment I wouldn't want to be a spotted eagle owl nesting on this drainage line, because Thandi's cub has been living here the last few weeks. It's been kind of pretty much seen in this drainage exclusively. Unfortunately, though, it's not a drainage line that we can drive. It's still incredibly wet in here. So I think the chances of finding Thandi's little one is going to be tricky, to say the least. But we'll give it a fair bash and see what we can find. The grass is so long. I'm hoping the little one is just lying on a tree or fallen over stump or termite mound, and we'll kind of spot him from there. But you can see the camouflage on that bird is incredible. If you were just driving past, it'd be quite tricky to spot it. It's silhouetted at the moment against a white sky, which makes it a little bit easier, but the lower down it comes and the closer it goes to the tree or the trunk of a tree, the easier it is for this bird to camouflage. It really is amazing to see how they blend in and how during the day they're able to kind of just take it easy and spend their time out of the way of all these animals that make a lot of noise around them like birds, and then at night they come out and they start to operate. I can't see, is it facing away from us or facing towards us? No, facing us at the moment with those beautiful bright yellow eyes. Such a pretty kind of contrast these guys have with that sort of drab coloration and then these piercing yellow eyes that kind of look at you from that greyness. Linda, you say your favorite kind of bird? Well, it's about to fly away, Linda. Unfortunately, it's not going to stay there. When you see them defecating like that and lifting their bums slightly, it's often an indication that they're about to go and fly. Birds often defecate before flying. There we go. Off it goes. And gone. All right. Let's carry on and see what else we can find. You can hear a couple birds are chasing it. You can also see the wetness that I was talking about in this drainage line here. I mean, that mud there will make it near impossible to negotiate this area. We'll just get stuck if we try and do that. All right, now the operation is to not go down too far, and so I'm going to try and get out of this little section. In the meantime, though, let's send you back across to Steve.
Thanks, Tristan. Well, we're going to see if we can find this lioness in her cub. I believe it's the Shimungwe, but at the moment we've got some stripes in the bush there. Can you see them, Theo? It's a kudu. Now we're very close to where Tristan had them this morning. I'm just trying to figure out where exactly. The Shimungwe female and a cub, a pair that's an adult lioness with a cub. It's just the two of them. And Shimungwe is the Shanga name for the bateleur, which is basically a scavenging or carrion bird. So somehow she's doing all right just with her cub. Very interesting, because, I mean, she won't really get accepted by another pride. Lions just aren't like that. Lions just aren't like that. But the kudu would indicate to us quite clearly if she was nearby. Just like the camouflage of the lion and leopard, kudu's camouflage is so good. There's always more than one. We can only see one kudu at the moment, but I'm sure there's a whole family of them here. That is just how they do it. Very good condition. Feeding on wildflowers. You might see her head low down and you think she's grazing. It's unlikely. She's feeding on all of the four herbaceous herbs and flowers that have emerged out. Hyena Boy needs a strap for his first dad joke of the day. Hyena Boy says, kudos to me. Well done. That was a good one. I like that, actually. I might employ it sometime. Have to give it a couple of days, though. Hey, Theo, don't you reckon? A few days before we drop that one again. Kudos to you. Very clever. Okay, so the wind is coming from behind me, so my right-hand side. So not really behind me, but behind the direction we're facing. So it's blowing towards the kudu. It's unlike kudus to walk downwind, which I find quite interesting that she would be walking. Okay, so the wind is coming sort of semi-across her, I suppose. Semi-across. Let's go around again, because very close to where I saw the tracks of where this lioness was this morning. Bear in mind it's been an overcast day and there's a little bit of water here in a pan. There's no need for her to have gone very far. She could just be lying up and wait. This is where James had the cheetah with her mom kill an adult kudu of that size a couple of years ago. Right here, he was just watching and he's like, look, cheetah, look, kudu, and next thing, and it just happened like that. It was incredible. And James got very excited, as you can imagine. Cheetah was quite excited with her cubs. The kudu, though, died of laughter. She definitely did not die of laughter, but that sounds a lot nicer, doesn't it? I'm glad I can make you laugh today, Theo. Theo hasn't been feeling well, everybody, so it's the first day I've actually seen him in how many days? A while. He's not 100%, so I've got to look after him on the back there and keep him full of jokes and humour. Even if it's bad humour, it's still good. Good to get the endorphins flowing. Where are you going, madam? Where's your family? Kudus can clear 3-meter fences from a standing start. So I've seen it. We were doing a game count on a small fence reserve years ago when I was doing my nature conservation study. We were doing a complete count. Now, what a complete count is when you walk through the bush at about 1 meter, 2 meters apart through the entire reserve, because it was quite a small reserve, and anything that runs... see, there's another kudu now about to arrive on the right. Any animal that runs... she's got an oxpecker on her bottom. Any animal that runs, I can't remember if it was on the left or the right, we counted. And then that got into the list. And we eventually got to the other side and we'd unfortunately cornered a kudu up against the fence. And he just cleared it, just from a standing start. Quite incredible. Cleared a game fence, standing there. So very powerful. Powerful legs. I've also seen a kudu jump over a lion, clear the lion, but the lion did a backward somersault and hooked the kudu inside the inside thigh with a claw and then pulled it down, and that kudu didn't get much further than that.
My name is Taylor McCurdy and I work for Eco Training. I love hearing from all of the viewers. However, I particularly enjoy those of you who have been watching for a few years. Your questions are just so advanced and they really get me thinking. If you'd like to ask a question on Wild Earth, you need to register on our website. Once you've done that, head to the live safari page and submit your questions below the live feed.
Do you dream of traveling to a far-flung wilderness location where life continues as normal? A place where you can escape to nature and breathe. If you become a Wild Earth explorer, then this could soon become a reality. Subscribe today and stand a chance to win regular travel prizes. Wild Earth Explorers, it's in your nature.
There is clearly something in the vicinity around you that's drawn their attention. Yes, that meerkat in the tree is just the coolest of cool meerkats. But watch how he battles when he comes down. That would be like me climbing a tree, just better.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth Daily. Have you been watching Wild Earth and dreamt of being right there on safari with one of the guides? Well, now you can. Wild Earth is offering you a chance to buy a ticket to dream. You or a friend can hop on board a live Wild Earth show and join our guide on safari. The ticket is redeemable at any of our locations, anytime in the future. Only a limited number of tickets are available, so don't wait. Get your ticket now and start dreaming. Terms and conditions apply.
Have you got comms, huh? Yeah, that's the last I heard as well.
We're back with us, everybody. Just still investigating the last tracks. This is where Tristan said she moved off into the thickets here. It's quite dense vegetation. Sorry about any technical issues that you might have encountered there. She's just here somewhere. Very long grass. Those kudu are heading straight for it. It's possible, as I said, that because it's hot, she's probably just flat. Okay, well, let's see if we can find where she's gotten to. In the meantime, let's go back over to Tristan, who I think is still looking or has found his leopards.
Right, so sorry guys, we're just struggling a little bit with our comms. As you can see, I'm trying to get my radio as far up as possible. But if you have a look over here, there is a very nondescript little soft kind of marking in the sand. So you see there's the back of the pad and the toes coming forward. It's very, very difficult to see. There's another one that's over here, and they're just walking along. Now, we kind of followed those tracks along, and if you keep following them and keep looking all the way along, eventually what you're going to find is that there's a little rainbow at the end of those tracks, because lurking just in a little bush underneath in front of us, being very sneaky, is Tundi's little cub. So it took a bit of tracking to find him. We picked up the tracks where we had the owl, and then from there he's walked quite a long way into the drainage line, and there you can see him just hidden in underneath the vegetation, the perfect spot for a little leopard cub to hide. It just gets in there, and if he sits and he puts his head right down, his camouflage is unbelievable. So he'll be a very happy little cat inside there. No tracks for Mom that I can see. It's just the tracks for him that we found going this way. Mom's tracks look like she was on the road, kind of moving northwards, so she might be lying somewhere up here on the bank. But he's definitely kind of on his own at this stage. I don't see any sign of her. Still cute though, isn't it? Kind of hiding in the little bits of vegetation. I've parked quite a long way away just to start with. I always do with him. It's just about getting him more and more used to cars, although he's pretty good these days. I always just try and start a little bit further and then go, and particularly because when you find a leopard, they're often a little bit more nervous. He kind of like ducks down and just makes sure that you can't really see him, and then he slowly starts to relax. There also the reason why I didn't want to go close is because if he moves from there, I've got no way to be able to follow him. That fallen over tree that's in the middle of the riverbed stops me from carrying on up the riverbed, And from here, I can't really get around that tree, so I have to reverse all the way out and go all the way around. So if we chase him, or if he gets into a position where he feels uncomfortable and he just slips through the back of that tree, I don't really have a price in being able to get to him. So I always like to start a little bit further in these situations and then just slowly decrease the distance until we're a little bit closer and it's a little bit easier for him. But you can see the camouflage, isn't it amazing? You can just barely make out that there's something at the bottom of that tree. And if he moves slightly to his left, oh, there's Mom. Mom has also just appeared. You see her on the far left of the tree. Just make out her spots. Hello, Mom. You're both here. Wonderful. I didn't even see her there. It just goes to show that how well they camouflage. I thought it was just him by himself, but she's just emerged out the bottom of that tree, which is exactly the point I was trying to make, is that behind that little fallen tree is going to be an area that's going to be very difficult to spot anything. Cool though, I always love it when we follow tracks and find a leopard. It's like my favorite thing in the world. I mean, obviously we knew that there were leopards close, but when you get on foot and you follow them and you kind of feel where the tracks go, it's a very liberating experience, following leopard tracks, particularly when you find them. And I can't tell you how long I've wanted to have a sighting of these two at this particular spot. I've always thought that this is kind of the best place for leopards to take it easy and relax, and sure enough we've got them here. The only problem is, like I say, is our comms here are a little bit up and down. So if you are asking questions and I'm not getting them, I do apologize for that. Catherine, he will be a year old in March. So what are we now? We're midway through. So he's 10 and a half months, let's call it that. So he's still growing. He's got a lot of growing still to do, and you'll be shocked at how quickly these guys grow from this mark now, this sort of 10 and a half month period, until they reach sort of 15 months. They almost double in size in that period. It's actually incredible to see. If you look at Kuchava's cub or Sibuyi's cub, gives you an idea of the size. Okay, we can sneak forward slightly because Mom is lying there. The fact that Mom is here is also a really good thing. She will just keep him kind of a little bit more sort of calm. Hi, Thandi. I haven't seen you this year. She's my favorite leopardess, so anytime I can see her, I'm always pretty happy. Just park right there. That should be good. I'll be able to watch them. I don't know where he's gone. He's just somewhere in front. Hopefully he's going to kind of come back and lie with Mom. Look at that face. Thandi? That's her pretty normal stock standard look, which is this kind of grumpy demeanor. You see how she's lying on the wet, cool sand just to keep nice and cool. Clever girl. Just trying to see if I can find where the little one is. Wondering if he was going to come up onto this fallen tree in front here, because there's a francolin sitting at the top of it, and I thought maybe he might try and see if he can get closer to it. Although it looks like he's just gone in behind and is lying down. I can just make out his face now on the edge of the thicket. So, Safet, you're asking, will Thandi mate again soon? No, not just yet. We do know that she is one of those females that typically leaves her cubs a little bit earlier than others. So the history of most of her cubs is being left at around 15 to 18 months. So if we take that, that should mean that we'd get to probably about June, July, that she would start to think about leaving this one. Once that happens, it generally is a few weeks still until they kind of actually start to come into estrus cycles. So I would expect her to probably be mating again anywhere from sort of September to the end of this year. It's not going to be anytime soon. And that, again, depends on her and how much, she ends up kind of moving around, or how much she tolerates this male cub. Also, does he survive? He is getting older and the chances of survival are much better, but it is not to say that he will survive. He's still got a lot of things that he's got to face, so those will all dictate when she'll mate again. But for now, it's all about just looking after mom. After cub, and waiting until the cub is independent. We're just having a few issues with our comms, so if I'm quiet at times, it's just so that I can kind of try and figure out what's going on, and also I suppose it's nice for you guys just to listen to the sounds while the leopards sleep. Anyway, we'll sit with these guys for the afternoon. I'm going to try and just reposition so I can have better comms. In the meantime, though, let's send you across to Swali.
So guys, we found the lions. I don't know if you'll be able to see them at the moment. So we came back to where we left the females with the cubs this morning. They weren't there, so we just drove towards the waterhole and tried to see if their tracks came back on. And on the way there, we actually found them underneath this bush, on top of the dune. So we can't really go off to go closer. We don't drive on top of the dune crests here, but they are there. You can see a tail flicking every now and again. We were lucky enough with Craig standing up to see a little bit higher through the grass. There was a couple of them sitting up, so we could see them like that. But then we did a little loop to see if we can't pick up on any tracks for the males possibly, or so. No luck though. But these females do look like they're using this as like a vantage point. Every now and again they sitting up and scanning the valley and possibly looking for something coming into the waterhole. This is the perfect place for them to see game coming in and, devise a plan from there to hunt. It is quite warm still, so I don't think they'll get up and get moving soon unless there's an easy opportunity presenting itself now. But we are going to have a bit of patience, maybe go and find some shade of our own and just wait and see when they come down the dune. Then we can also go off and go a little closer to them and see what they are up to. But for the time being, I think they're going to just chill under the shade of that bush or that tree, a blackthorn. So unfortunately, like I said, we can't really see them at the moment, just a tail every now and again chasing away a fly. But luckily we know where they are, so it's not like we have to go and find them or so. Now we just have to wait for either the game to come in or for them to decide they want to go down closer to the waterhole or something like that. But with them moving during the middle of the day, during the heat of the day like this, to the dune crest and constantly scanning like that, I do feel like there's going to be a bit of movement, which could be exciting a little later on, especially when there's game coming in. Even if they just go down to the waterhole and we have the cubs playing around the water and the moms drink and so on, that would also be cool. But we'll have to see. We did make a turn by the waterhole though. Absolutely nothing but butterflies there at the moment. So no possibility of a hunt happening just yet. But, it's also a little warm for the general game to be at the waterhole now. Maybe if there was a buffalo in the area or so, then you'll find them going to wallow in the water or in the mud. But the impalas and those types of things, they're gonna be standing in the shade, just like the lions are resting in the shade at the moment as well. So yeah, guys, I think what we're going to do is we're going to find a tree of our own and see if these lions don't want to wake up in the next maybe 10, 15 or so. While we wait in the shade, we're going to send you over to Phinda, okay?
So as Mo goes to look for some shade, you can see now the sun is gone on Phinda and the clouds have started to roll in, which is quite pleasant actually, because it was really hot when the sun was out. And we're still on our search for this leopard, but we've come across this beautiful mixed herd, and you'll see giraffes in the background, some zebras and warthogs, impalas in the foreground. There's even a wildebeest off to the left. But what you'll notice is that all of these animals, well, other than the giraffe, the zebra, wildebeest, impalas are all in the open and quite close together. And that's due to these weather conditions. So the overcast, the cloudy weather, combined with the wind, it will make them very nervous, because these are ideal conditions for predators to hunt. Kitty, I agree. Zebras are quite cute, but I find them actually beautiful. And what I love the most about zebras is how, see those two zebras with that giraffe, and you look at their coat, they're so well groomed and looked after, and their manes in perfect condition. Lions that are play fighting and practicing for the real deal. And you'll see the one on got a little nick in his shoulder. It looks like an old scar, possibly from being bitten by another leopard in one of these, by another zebra in one of these play fights. Speaking of leopards, I want to pass to Tristan, who is with the leopard.
Well, as you can see, we're still in the same place, still with Thandiwood. We've moved slightly in, so now we can hear everything that's going on, and that makes life all the better. The only problem is the position that we've got now. We won't be able to see much of the cub for now, but cub will come out and greet mom later, and there'll be a bit of movement just now, so I'm not too stressed about it. We'll eventually get both of them kind of moving about. It's such a pretty little spot to be in, with that little bit of greenery and the river sand, and those rosettes contrasting against both of them. That, it's worth being patient and just waiting to see what happens. Now, I was going to say this sighting always reminds me so much of the past. This particular riverbed that we're in now was one that she used to use quite a lot with Tamba. So he was born not far from here. In fact, I would say it's about 300 meters from where we are now at one of the rooms. And then she also used this a lot with Wabayiza when he was much older. So just before she kind of started to push him out at a similar age of what her current cub is. She used to use this area, Chitwa Open, Chitwa Dam, quite a lot. She was originally around in Koro and then pulled him along this sort of side. Kuchava, not so much. She didn't use this section as much with Kuchava. Bohuti, I'm not 100% sure. I wasn't here for a lot of his growing up. I saw him once only, right up near the Sabi Sands gate, when he had already distributed away from her. I think it was him anyway. The guys weren't 100% sure, and I just arrived, so I wasn't 100% sure myself, and I didn't get a picture to double check it. So yeah, she's kind of always liked this area, and you can see why. It's the perfect place for a leopard to spend time. It's very, very, very sheltered. There's lots of great little hiding places, even if she wants to give birth to cubs. Little rocky outcrops, fallen over trees that have got lots of thorns, little caves here and there. And I always have thought that we were going to find a den site here for Thandi with small little cubs. And I think if it hadn't been for Karula's disappearance, we might have seen her using this for what is now Tlalumba's litter, or what was Tlalumba's litter. I think she would have spent some time in this area if that was the case. I mean, you can just see it, like, kind of screams leopard, doesn't it? It's everything that somebody, when they think about a leopard, would think about. Why are you watching me so much? Are you grumpy this afternoon? Is it because you're full? You can see that tail is twitching, and she's just staring at us. I don't know why maybe it's because we moved a little bit to try and get up this bank to be able to see her better, but her tail every now and then is doing that little twitch when she's not grumpy, but when she's just kind of meh. She doesn't really want to be disturbed, and that's often the case when she's full. She's like this, and especially if she spent quite a bit of time with her cub, then she starts to get a little bit irritated. But now she's closed her eyes, so we're all good. We don't have to worry too much. And it's opening again. She can hear a car on the main road. Leopard girl, yeah, Thandi is, I suppose now she is. The Queen of Djuma is such a kind of interesting title, because while she is really an incredible leopardess, her mom is more the kind of queen than anything else. Her mom was the original and in many respects the kind of one and only queen. It's a kind of sensitive topic among some people, but she nowadays rules kind of not so much on Djuma anymore, actually. She's more Torchwood and Chitwa. We hardly see her on Djuma. I actually can't remember the last sighting I had of Thandi on Djuma property itself. Most of the ones I've had over the last 3 months have been on Torchwood or Chitwa. So she seems to have pushed a lot this way, and I'm sure that's got something to do with Insele and Tlalamba and Shadulu. There's just a lot of competition on the northern side of Torchwood and into Djuma that she rather and Sibuyi too, to a degree, and she'd rather just hang out in these areas where she's not having to kind of worry too much. If you look at her sort of distribution over the last little bit and the sightings that we've had, seems like she's pushing more and more and more towards the Mulawanini rather than the Mulawati as a habitat to use. And it's just going back to where she started, really. She knows this is areas that she's used previously. It's not like it's her kind of just abandoning her territory, but we know that when they have female cubs that they often do just give a little bit of space and room for that female to start. And she did it with Kuchava by coming more north towards Djuma, but now that there's pushback from Tlalamba and from Shadulu, she's starting to come back this way. And it's very interesting to look at leopard distribution models through the course of their life as a female. What you find is they start out in the natal territory. They then kind of blossom and grow this territory in the prime of their life. And as they start getting older, due to competition of all the cubs that they've been successfully raising, so that territory starts to then shrink and starts to get a little bit smaller again and shifts and moves as it's shrinking. And eventually, if she's been a very successful female with lots of female cubs, her territory can actually be quite minuscule in comparison to what it once was. That's the kind of sacrifice that they make, and as they start to age, so they can't actually compete with their daughters who are then coming into the primes of their lives. It's a very interesting dynamic that takes place, and I think that's what we're seeing now, is that she's just being squeezed a little bit by her previous daughters, and so her territory is just shifting and changing slightly to utilize the Mulawanini drainage line rather than the Mulawati. All right, well, we'll sit here and spend some time with them. In the meantime, I'm going to send you over to my good friend Taylor McCurdy with one of her favorite animals.
Well, very exciting that Tristan, of course, has a leopard. We obviously have elephants. We've now moved on from the elephant bull and we located the breeding herd. I have not found the individual that let off that terrible screech earlier, but it could have been any one of the little elephants that we're going to see come past us. They're all rushing down now, as I think they've sensed that the water is nearby, and you know what elephants are like when there's water around, as we've seen. Hello, little one. Just catching up to Mom. Not as brave, though. Mom walked right in front of the car, not particularly bothered by us. That one taking a bit of a wider berth. We've got the next calf, slightly older, also not so sure about us this afternoon. Okay, but slightly older, maybe a bit more sass. Yes, very cheeky. So remember how this morning, if you were watching, we were talking about various agitation signs? Or maybe it was yesterday. Sorry, it might have been yesterday. No, this morning, as we always talk about it. That was one trying to show us that it was big and strong. We're obviously swiftly moving along. But it is quite windy today, and I know the other guides have probably spoken about how wind affects animals, but elephants aren't very fond of it at all and tend to react quite badly and a bit more on the nervous sort of side of things, so that could have something to do with these youngsters' behavior. But the adults are fine for now. I can see there's another big cow just nibbling on. What are you eating? Can't see what she's eating. I'm blind. Not quite blind. My sight doesn't seem to be working today. Is it a sickle bush? Chad?
Yeah.
It is a sickle bush. Chad, the botanist, has confirmed. He's not a botanist, but he's better at trees than I am. Hey? Part cameraman, part safari guide, part nonsense talker like me. Kelly, so great question from you this afternoon about how far do elephants travel in one day. These elephants, not very far. They do a loop. They go to a watering hole, they drink, and maybe they swim if it's hot enough. They eat as they're on the go. Then they might find a wallow and cover themselves with mud. So they're probably just walking a couple of kilometers. I wouldn't say anything more than about 10 kilometers a day in this area. But obviously it depends on their environment. So the harsher the environment, so the more arid that it is, you can imagine these animals will have to travel much larger distances to find water and food that is available. So all this comes into account. And then on average an elephant might walk as much as 50 kilometers in one day, but that's quite a big distance. But the elephants of the Greater Kruger won't really walk that. An elephant bull, however, it must. So that, of course, that excited state where they are sort of more driven to mate with the females and step outside their comfort zones and go search for cows that are estrus. They put their heads down and they march. They march and march and march until they find what they're sort of looking for. Of course, nibbling and drinking in between, but they'll cover a lot more ground. But again, it depends on various circumstances. That's the cool thing about being on a safari. There's no set in stone rule. There's always but it depends, and there's an exception to almost everything. You always have to take those things into consideration. But the elephants in this area, they like to follow the rainfall. So wherever the rain has fallen, you might find that the elephants start moving in that direction because they'll want to obviously get the freshest grass. So by the time they get there, hopefully the new shoots that were maybe already grazed upon or the leaflets that were browsed upon have pushed through. They want to be there just in time to get the most nutritional part of the plant, which is of course the young leaves. You might have also seen a little black bird flying around that elephant. Sorry I didn't mention it. It's a fork-tailed drongo, no stranger to the elephants or any of the mammal species really, is trying to catch all the insects. Well, that's a difficult leadwood to eat off of. You can see that leadwood looks like it's dead, but look at those tiny little green shoots coming through. That's awesome. Off she goes. And she's got a youngster, well, sorry, you can see she has a youngster. She's obviously got the swollen mammary glands, and she also had a bit of a suckle mark on her left mammary gland. Okay, now we need to move forward because the elephants have moved out of sight, but I do see quite a few of them gathering up ahead. I really hope Susan is around. Oh, I see one that looks suspiciously like Susan. Maybe it's her. We've just got to go around And that side, no, it's a tuskless elephant with a very sharp head. Okay. Unfortunately, we can't. I personally don't off-road for elephants. I don't think it's necessary, especially in an area like this where we see so many. But you also take a risk when you go off-road. The grass is really long. There's lots of stumps and rocks that you can't see, and if you need to make a quick escape, you're not really going to be able to do that very quickly, especially through this sort of bushveld sort of area. But we're going to head around and hopefully meet the elephants at Leopard Dam.
Well, there's sometimes some merit in that, Taylor, especially now in the summer. It's not a wise thing. There's lots of little hidden holes and tree branches and things like that can cause a lot of damage if things start to go pear-shaped. So always best to just kind of play it safe rather than do anything. Now, talking about elephants, there's elephants going absolutely ballistic to the south of us. I don't know what's going on there, but they're trumpeting and carrying on. So I'm going to keep quiet for you guys and just let you listen. Maybe you'll be able to hear them over the breeze that's blowing at the moment. I've just heard those illies in the background. Wonder if they'll trumpet some more. Maybe it's a bull chasing some cows around. Still. Somebody is very upset about life running around all over the place. That trumpeting has come all the way from Chitwa Dam, all the way basically to the bottom of Torchwood. It's been moving so far. All right, well, we're going to sit here and enjoy it. We'll see what happens next.
Welcome to Simbambili, everybody, to One-Eyed Pan. It is a wonderful afternoon. The wind is making things a little bit difficult, trying to lay out leaves on the bonnet of the car. Stop it. Hello. We discussed yesterday, if you missed yesterday's show, we went into length of the simplicity of simple leaves. And now on the bonnet I've arranged a variety of compound leaves. So if it's not simple, everybody, it's compound. So very straightforward. Now, the most important thing when identifying a leaf is you've got to find the growth point. So can you see where this point is growing out over here? That is a fruit, it's a flower, it could be a thorn, it could be something. That means that this entire piece here is the leaf. So yesterday where we looked at a simple leaf, this entire thing was a solid leaf. This is a compound leaf which is divided once. Okay, I'll detail that a bit more. But that is exactly what you're looking for. Now, I'll just show you another one. Another one over here, where there is the leaf. And there, inside there is a little growth point that's sticking out. Over there, you can maybe see it. Let me turn it around. Can you see that little point over there, Thea, right by my finger? So that means that this entire piece is the leaf. If I try to divide that up, and you look in there, there's nothing there. Now I'm going to pull that off. I'm just going to compare these two that I showed you. And you'll see that both of them are divided. This one over here is divided once. This one over here is divided once, and then again, twice again. So that's twice divided. Another word for twice is bi. Bi for bipinnately compound, and these are called pinny all these little leaflets. Don't blow it all the way. They're called pinnae. So we get once divided, twice divided. It's very easy, very straightforward. Okay, so now let's have a look at some of the leaves we've got over here. So once again, each of them I've analyzed and had a look, and it's torn off from the growth point, and then the leaflet grows, and you can see that this is one whole leaf divided once, because that's not broken up. See that they often are exactly in the same place, and in this one specifically it ends in a single leaflet. Sometimes it ends in two. This one ends in one, which means it's an in pair. So in-pari-pinnately compound. I know it's a big word. You either get to pair or in pair. This is an in pair. So in-pari-pinnately compound. A very big word. Don't worry about it. Just say it's once divided with a terminal leaflet. Okay. Now the next leaf, the same thing. You'll see that it's also, but this one droops quite a bit. Once again, it's got the little leaflets on the side. Sometimes you might find one missing. It's because animals eat them. And once again, this one ends in a terminal leaflet that's also been slightly eaten. But when having a look at these leaves as well, just like in the simple leaf, have a look at the margin, have a look at the color, the top and the bottom. Are there similarities? Are these exactly opposite each other, or do they climb up like a ladder? Have a look and see what you can see. These, for example, if you went and pulled that off, you came and showed me, you would think that this is a simple leaf on its own. It's not the case. Not the case. Okay, and then we've got this one again. No, don't blow away in the wind. Here, this is one of the first ones that we did. And this is the false marula. And what's so important to identify this one is it's got a little bit of a discoloration, probably due to some nitrogen deficiency. But you'll notice that where the leaflet attaches, there's a very small stalk. They're very, very small. When we find the marula's got a very long stalk over there, so that makes it very easy to identify. And then once again, turn the leaf over, is a vast difference between the top and the bottom. And then we found another one over here. This is actually quite a lot of a plant over here. So once again, if I show you there, you can see where the leaf is growing, and here are the little stipules. Leaf scars, thorns, flowers could be growing out of there. So that over there is the leaf. Very small, very soft, and once again, lots of little leaflets growing. It's a little forb. It's not actually a tree, but once again, it's a compound leaf blowing in the wind. And we've got another one over here, which is, you can actually clearly see it when we compare it with one like this, that it is once again the twice divided. Can you see? It's quite easy to see that it's twice divided, because that is a leaflet, and then the leaflet is divided into a whole lot of little pinnae. And this is the sickle bush. Many of the acacias, when you find them, you'll actually notice that you can count those sets, and that often in the book will tell you 24 or 16 sets of leaflets, and that often can be the identifying factor between one plant and the other. Okay, here we have got an acacia. In fact, this is a black monkey thorn, so you can see once again. But what's interesting is that these leaflets are actually growing oppositely. Sorry, the radio's on over there. Is it annoying you? Sorry about that. Game Drive radio. So once again, it's the leaf. And there's a leaflet, and the leaflet is divided. I hope this is making sense, because I've had some confusion in the past. This leaflet is also divided. Can you see that? That's not just one leaf lit like that one. It is also divided again, so it's twice divided. It's almost like taking this one and tearing it into little bits. Well, or not to tear it up like that. Okay, so that's the black monkey thorn. And then we've got another one over here. They've all started to wilt. I do apologize. Once again, I've got a whole branch. I'm going to show you over there. See where the leaf is growing. At the bottom, you can see there's a little growth point, stipule, some form of leaf scar, something growing there. That is the leaf, and it is divided once. because those leaflets are not divided a second time. And what's very interesting about this specific plant when you find it is that the leaves are arranged in a ladder formation. They go up. And when you find the branches on this tree, they also go up in a ladder, and that is very typical of zebra wood. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's almost like you could cut the branch off and put it in your hamster cage, and your hamster would have a really good time with the ladder. Okay, left and right, alternate ladder, not a straight ladder. Okay, and here we go. Second last one. Once again, a long leaf divided once and twice. Can you see that? Now, what's important about these trees and why do they divide the second time? You can see all this wilting that's happened, and that is designed to protect it from losing moisture. So as soon as the wind is too strong, or as soon as the water is a little bit low, or it's too hot, these leaves fold over each other like that. They fold over to reduce the surface area, which limits the amount of evaporation that the tree can produce. That versus that surface area, first of all, this one's halved itself again, and so it's closed itself up, and so it doesn't lose as much moisture as this one. So it's a very, very good adaptation that many of these plants have evolved to do. So those are a few compound leaves. We'll detail a little bit more about the differences between them a little bit later. But in the meantime, let's change over to Taylor and Prylands with some playing elephants.
So we're just doing a little bit of repositioning. So the elephants are apparently quite thirsty and are moving quite quickly. And they didn't drink where we initially thought they were going to. So I think they're going to go around to where we were watching the elephant bull swim earlier. So we'll try and pick a fair point. There's a huge breeding herd that's pulled down. And I think it could be the herd with the new baby, the new little elephant calf. It's so sweet, but you might see, because half of the herd is on one side of the dam and the other half of the herd is here. But we'll just keep an eye out. There's one really big elephant cow, and sometimes you just get a gut feeling with animals. I don't know if I trust her, so I'm just going to keep my distance from her. Every time I see her, I'm just like, not my favorite. Don't get great vibes from her. I know that sounds ridiculous, but you really do pick up like some kind of an energy. I'm just thinking if I go here in this little gap, then maybe we'll get these other ones, because I don't want to block her and her lot. Okay, we'll watch the swimming ones rather. That's okay. And we'll probably see lots of the birds swimming past, maybe a terrapin or two. We shall have a look. Yesterday it was in Ndlovu Dam that was very busy. Today it is Leopard Dam. Oh, I don't know if you can see it. There's one elephant that's stretching all the way up on the other side. He's just gone underwater now though. That one, if you watch him, I wonder if he's going to do it again. But he's stretching up to the overhanging branches and trying to pull on them, which would not make the buffalo weavers that are living up above him very happy. Don't be mean. Although I don't think he really realizes that there's another animal occupying a space. I feel like elephants kind of just do what they want when they want, and I suppose when you're that big, you do you. There's no stopping you. No, well, there's no one to tell you no, really. None of the breeding herd is going in, all just bulls playing about. But the rest of the herd is coming around, so we'll hopefully get a view of some of the youngsters in just a few minutes. But now the wind is really starting to pick up, and it sounds like on Sunday we are expected to have over 100 mils of rain. We shall see. If we have over 100 mils of rain, these dams are going to be overflowing, both of them, in Ndlovu Dam and Leopard Dam. Now, Tyler, you said something wonderful about the elephants, but I'm very sorry. I was listening to the sound of my own voice, which I typically do, and I didn't hear the question properly, so my apologies. They are so cute and energetic. Yes, they are. Come on, little elephant. There's a cow now approaching. She's going to probably walk straight and cross the camera. Hello, girl. She's got very wide-splayed tusks with her calf-foot foot. We're going to join the rest of the herd. Bye, guys. Whoop, sorry again, I just have to sit up in these sightings and the elephants are fairly close, and when they're coming from all angles, must have your wits about you in an elephant sighting. There they all are, happily drinking. I think it's becoming difficult as to where they can easily reach the water, because the banks of Leopard Dam are quite muddy and quite slippery. You can see a few of them look like they're wearing boots. They've definitely got their feet wet. They must have come in from the inflow. I think they crossed the water there. They're swimming today. Ryson, you've inquired about the limitations on a herd, and specifically about the size of a herd. I would imagine something like food and water availability would have something to do with it. And I think just how many dominant females there are. Because sometimes you see these massive herds, but they're not necessarily just one herd. Like you might see, in Kruger it's not uncommon, even with bachelor herds, to see like 50 elephants together, all just boys. Like they really get big there, but there's also a lot of space, lots of water around, lots of food. And you'll often see these in big open grasslands or around like a watering hole. Also there, often the animals have to travel further distances to find water. Kruger is obviously doing a big project and trying to remove some of the man-made water holes that were made many, many years ago. They've realized the repercussions of man-made watering holes, and they're trying to rectify some long-term issues that they are experiencing, or will hopefully going to try and prevent it from getting worse. Anyways, so there you can see massive herds of elephants. We haven't really seen big herds. When we have seen the massive herds of elephants, they've been around Leopard Dam or in Ndlovu Dam, again just a common spot. And I'm pretty sure there was over 100 elephants one day at Ndlovu Dam. There was no edge of the dam left, just filled with elephants, which was quite cool. Like there are lots of trunks now, which is awesome. So those would be the two main factors, I would imagine. Space, so for them to move around in, and then food and water availability. And I think maybe the success of the herd as well. I know it's obviously a matriarchal system, so elephants that are strongly bonded with one another. So if a particular female tends to have lots of female calves, you'll find that the herd might stay bigger, but maybe there's a cow that just typically throws male calves, and then the herd won't stay very big for very long. It will constantly change as some more members. Whoop, watch your step, little one. It's a bit of a stick out in the way there. Everyone's tripping on it. Wait, you're just tripping on your own feet, aren't you? So I think that would also make a huge sort of a difference in the size of the herd. So at one point it could be a really big herd, and then we were talking about this yesterday, when elephant bulls reach anywhere between the age of 14, 15, 16, 17. Some elephants stay in the herd longer, some leave earlier. Also just it depends on their behavior within the herd. So if they're not as boisterous, not causing too much trouble, then they're not going to be constantly reprimanded by the other members of the herd. Whereas if you're constantly being told off and punished, and if you've ever seen a cow reprimand a young bull properly, they'll tusk them and push them flat down on the ground. It's quite an aggressive thing to see. You don't see it very often. I've only seen it like a handful of times in my guiding career. So yeah, it's really interesting. Then those boys might leave a little bit earlier and find some younger bulls in a similar situation to hang around, and they can push and shove each other as much as they like and get all of their frustrations out, as they're doing now in the water. They're definitely having fun though. You cannot tell me looking at these elephants that they're not enjoying themselves. I know we like, as humans or as guides, we tend to anthropomorphize quite a bit, where we give human qualities to animals. Some people disagree and say that it's not nice and that you shouldn't because they're just animals. But when you start to spend so much time with the wildlife and seeing the same individuals over and over, it's really difficult to not form some kind of a bond. I mean, we see it all the time. You get very attached to animals. We watch them grow up. We watch them almost every single day. We watch them eat. We watch them sleep. You watch them mate. You watch them defecate. You literally are watching them all the time. So I find it very difficult to not form emotional bonds with animals. But of course, you've always got to draw the line, and they are wild animals, and you do need to let nature take its course. Right. This is awesome. Well, we're going to stick around here probably for a little bit longer, but off you go across to Phinda, who have got the animals with the most stripes.
We're still searching for this leopard, and we're finding animals every now and then, but for the most part, everything seems to be hiding at the moment. We have seen a few little herds of impalas not too far from where that leopard was last, and she might be trying to hunt those impalas, which would of course make it, I mean, she's trying to hide from the impala, so it would make it very difficult for us to spot her as well. So we're sticking in the area, just listening out for some alarm calls if maybe they spot her. But we've come across this zebra stallion, and I just noticed he's got some like markings all over his body. So there's markings under his neck. It looks a bit like dirt, but I'm not convinced it is dirt. I'm trying to check with binoculars. He's still a little bit far away, but it actually looks like it looks like an old wound. And I wonder if somehow, just by fighting as much as he could, if he managed to get away from some lions. I've also just noticed something quite unique. Look underneath his eye, he's got a spot. He's got a perfectly round spot on a striped animal with a round spot. I'm fairly certain I'll be able to recognize him next time I see him. So he's turned a little bit now, but you would also notice on
Unfortunately, we've got a few little technical issues, which does happen every now and then. So you're back up with Thandi. You can see she's awake now, and that's because those ellies came very close and have just been shouting non-stop all around us. Seems like there's lots of them, and they're just unhappy about something. Again, like I said, it's this time of the year. I'm pretty sure it's just a bull that's in amongst the herd that's causing problems. It was right behind us just now. I don't know where it's gone. It kind of woke her up a little bit, and she sort of popped her head up to look around. Otherwise, it's been pretty quiet here. You know, they haven't really been up to too much. She's been resting with full tummies after their meal that they had last night. There's no real need for either of them to be expending much energy. Now it's just about controlling body temperature and digesting. What's interesting, though, is that it's not hot today at all. And with her lying on the sand, I'm surprised at how much she's panting. It's all probably to do with the fact that she's overeaten, and that's now compressing her ability to take in huge mouthfuls of air, and hence why she's panting a little bit. Now those yawns might indicate her thinking about moving, and I wouldn't be surprised that she's going to leave the cub here and then go off and go and hunt again. Even though she has eaten, she often, once she's finished a kill, will go and then do a little scent marking mission, and on her scent mark she then pays attention to anything that she can potentially go and hunt and kill. So it'll be interesting to see which way she goes from here, if she goes north or if she's going to go towards Chitwa Open. Often she likes to use Chitwa Open as a hunting area. It's a place where there's a lot of impalas, particularly in the evenings, so it's very possible that she'll head up that side to look for food. And clearly something has disturbed her around sort of Torchwood area, because, you know, she was there for so many months, and all of a sudden she's kind of brought this cub down. And I wonder if it's not due to the fact that the lions have been around Torchwood kind of dam camp area a lot of late. Maybe, you know, she's just seen the lion activity there and thought, nah, I'm not going to risk it, and has brought the cub down a little bit. We also know full well that she had a spat with Kuchava right here in December, and I wonder if that was part of the reason, is she was looking for a place to push, And once she found Kachava and the cub here, she decided just to try and kind of push her back, Kachava south a little bit more, just to bring her cub a little bit further down, so as not to worry about these lines as much as if she had to stay up further north along this riverbed. It's the exact same riverbed that goes to Torchwood. So, we've seen this cub in this riverbed a lot over the last 6 months, but now it's just much further south than ever before. In fact, actually, I don't have the map with me. I think Stephen's got the map. I wanted to show you guys the map of how far she's moved this cub in the course of its lifespan. So to give you an idea, it started at central Djuma and then slowly came eastwards to pretty much not central Torchwood, but sort of, I would say, kind of near central Torchwood, and then from there south towards Chitwa. It's quite a long way from where she gave birth to this little one, or two, when it was originally two, to where she is now. Alright, well, she's gone back to sleep. The Ellies have quietened down, so we'll just be patient. I'm sure they're going to come back. There's, like I say, Ellies on both sides of the riverbed. So in the meantime, let's send you across to other Ellies with Taylor.
Well, I've learned something today that I thought I would have taken note of. Never sit downwind of an elephant when they dust bathe. My eyes are now full of sand, so that's a fun time. Oh, you're a bit upset, elephant, with my comment. Little one not wanting to leave that little spot. They've dug such a deep hole there that when you drive through, Gert has to hold on with both hands. That's how deep it is. Okay, it's not that deep, but it's uncomfortable. Anyways, there's something on that elephant's trunk. Do you see there's like a little growth on the tip of its trunk? Oh no, it's going to run away now. Come back. Some kind of small growth, just about a fifth of the way up its trunk. Oh no, it's gone. Oh well. It didn't look like anything too serious. Hopefully it doesn't get too much bigger. Those two little ones just enjoying a moment. Of course, the one to the left has got the upper hand. Elephant, I don't think you should be doing that without a helmet on. Well, elephants have got pretty tough skulls, so it'll probably be okay. Just having fun with a sibling. And now we've got a different species of elephants coming off to the right. You'll see they're different colours. I love that the various... I'm just joking. It's just the African elephant. It's the same one. It's just been in the water. Ha 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 ha. Taylor is so funny. Just joking. I'm really not. I also notice I talk to myself a lot. The bush will do that to you. Do you think I'm funny? He says he thinks I'm funny sometimes. That's good. Sometimes it's better than not at all. Pedo, perfect question at the perfect moment. Thank you very much for this. You've said, what is the purpose of dust bathing? Well, it's actually very important because you can see how that little elephant is scratching itself and swatting its tail. There's lots of very annoying insects around here. So typically what will happen is elephants will cover themselves. Oh, Tito. Oh, oops. Sorry. But that's awkward. Oh well, live in the moment. Essentially, the purpose of dust bathing is once the elephants have either been in water or they've covered themselves in mud to provide a protective layer over their skin. Obviously, it protects them from the harsh African sun. It also helps hold moisture to their skin. All the mud gets in between the little cracks and crevices. And then what they'll do is they'll toss themselves with dust like this one is doing. And then that dust sticks to the wet mud or just the water, in this case of this elephant, and again it's going to hold in the moisture a little bit longer. But then it's also providing quite a thick layer for insects. Insects obviously are attracted to the moisture around elephants' eyes and their mouth and their nether regions, and obviously if they've got water on their bodies they might hang about too, and in some parts of an elephant the skin is actually really thin, so they can get quite annoyed by bugs. And they've also got a thin covering of sort of quite sparse, or sorry, not sparse, that's the wrong word. It's quite coarse hair, sparsely decorated all over their body. When they're younger, you'll see them being quite fluffy. And so they can feel little insects moving around on them, even on the thicker thicker parts of skin around their back. So yeah, I mean, birds will obviously use dust bathing for a different purpose. They try and kill mites that way. I don't think that this will maybe be killing much mites, but the mud will definitely be trapping a lot of parasites, any ticks that will be hanging on again around the areas of the elephant where the skin is a lot thinner. Although there's some tick species that have got such strong mandible mouth parts that they're able to pierce straight through that tough hide. So that will suffocate them. And if you look carefully up on trees, you will see some dead ticks. Now we're going to have a bit of trouble because there's a bull that has come through here. It's the one that we saw swimming earlier. And he's investigating all the dung. He's investigating all the cows. And there might be some trumpeting and some unhappiness, or he might come over to us and say hello too. I'm not ruling that one out, but maybe he'll be too preoccupied. He seems to be quite excited about all the girls around, as you can see. And that's, of course, very normal behavior. Again, not big enough to really have any mating rights. Coolmore has been around, and some much bigger bulls that we typically see. So I think he's getting a bit ahead of himself, and if there are any cows that are coming into estrus, I don't think that they'll really tolerate him. I think that they will literally shut him down and try and chase him away and be quite aggressive towards him. Is that a tick? No, is that just, sorry, I'm just looking on his nether region. No, I don't know what that is. He had something stuck on it. Maybe it's just a leaf. I see, look at this. Now look at the trouble that he's causing. Don't you dare chase those cows towards us. Again, we were talking about displacement behavior, how elephant bulls will pretend feed towards your car. What sometimes can happen is you get misplaced aggression. So this cow could be upset with that elephant bull because he's chased her around a bit. He's quite keen on her. Look, you can see how he's showing much. He's going to maybe follow her around now. And then she could come to us and take out her frustrations. So, again, you always really, really, really need to have your wits about you and make sure you know exactly where all the elephants are at all times. You can see he's investigating quite a bit. Obviously, we know that that trunk is super sensitive, and he'll be able to pick up whether or not she's come into estrus. But she wasn't interested in him. She shook her head, and she's obviously keeps moving away. Look, as soon as he comes closer, she sort of rushes off. So this is the type of boisterous behavior that comes about in the young bulls. But obviously, they're much smaller in size than this fella, and the females can curb that behavior and just tell them that in elephant language that we're not really tolerating this. But when you're the size of that elephant bull, he dwarfs that cow, you know. She's not really going to stand too much of a chance around him. But then, of course, live in a herd, family group, so they all stick together always. So here's a younger bull now just in front of us, smelling the same dung, but he's keeping his distance. He's not going to get too close to the other bull. Already, the bull in front has turned slightly towards him and looked at him, giving him sort of a stare as if to say, just keep your distance. He's stopping and looking back. You can just see there at this bull that's tailing him. So those are the kinds of subtle signs that you need to look for. And as a safari guide, the more time you spend with elephants, the easier it is for you to pick them up. Now, these young boys have probably been put in their place by this older bull, and that's also very important. There's a hierarchy structure, and they need to learn that they have to wait. Patience. They learn patience, I suppose, from the older bulls. He doesn't look that big, but it's just because he's standing on a bit of a slope lower down from those other elephants, but he's in fact much larger than those two on the left. Very interesting interactions this afternoon, but I don't think we'll follow these elephants for too much longer, as there's another animal I'd like to try and get to before the sun sets.
Thank you, boss. And then I'll go.
That
try
sounds
to get in touch with them.
cool. Thanks, Subs.
Very much.
No problem. Sorry, guys. I was just saying, just to the people that just joined us in the sighting. So they came and kind of joined, and they're leaving now. So I was just saying thank you for the sighting. It's always good to just have a chat with everyone around us. You know, we often have a lot of people that come to the reserve, particularly now after lockdown, that have been watching the show. And they then, you know, kind of come out on a safari because of it. And so it's always, you know, lots of excitement to chat about how things are and, you know, what's been up, and that they watch the show during lockdown. So it's kind of good just to have conversations with people. But anyway, as you can see, not much has changed here. Cub is fast asleep. Tundi is fast asleep. Everyone is just taking it very easy, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it, if I'm honest. Sometimes a slow-paced, relaxed leopard sighting is the best tonic for one's mind. I don't know why, but before drive I was feeling a bit meh, and you know, where you're just kind of having one of those days where you're just not, I don't know, just didn't feel with it today. And since I've been sitting here, it's kind of slowly rejuvenating one's energy. So I'm very happy that we managed to find the two of them, and it's not a chaotic bashing through thickets kind of sighting. It's just a very pleasant, relaxed afternoon, and I'm hoping as the afternoon starts to wear on and it starts to get cooler and cooler, that maybe the cub starts to wake up a little bit and wants to play with Mom, because it would be so nice if we can get the two of them just playing in this beautiful sand, for two reasons. One, because it's always nice just to see Mom and cub bonding and playing. But the second reason, and probably the nicest part about it, is very seldom here in the Sabi Sands, particularly in the winter months, do any riverbeds have no sign of human footprints or tire tracks or anything, because of the amount of tracking that we do. But this little section here after the rain is completely barren of any sort of human presence whatsoever. It's kind of been washed away. So watching them play here would be really, really nice. There's very few sandbanks that we have in this area. If you go into the Sabi Sand, down to the Sand River, very different, because the Sand River is quite a big expanse. But we utilize the Muluwanini and Mulawati a lot because of this reason right here. And now, because of all the rain, we haven't been driving them nearly as much as normal. So there's lots of little patches where it is kind of new and almost refreshed in many respects. But you can see how we would have followed the tracks. So we actually picked up these tracks far down south, at where we saw the spotted eagle. As I reversed out there, I picked up the track for Tundi. But if you look over here, what we were looking for is why we came down towards the drainage line, as we saw those tracks on the road. And kind of part of tracking in this area, and why they don't do tracking assessments when you are kind of working at a place, you don't do your assessments at that lodge, is that you start to understand where animals like to walk. So basically, came into the riverbed hoping that she would have used the riverbed rather than the road. And once we picked up the tracks there, drove in the riverbed, eventually found her tracks in the riverbed itself. And like I say, what you're looking for is those kind of markings. On this softer, puffier sand, it's going to be tricky to see today because of the cloud cover that we've got. But because in parts it's got wet sand that is still a little bit soft, there's these deep impressions that are left behind. And so once you see those, then it's very, very easy to kind of follow them from there. But actually, when you look from that track there to the next one, which is on the edge of this little banking, you can just see them there. That's the track. There's the next track, but you can see how nondescript and how difficult it is to spot those from afar when they walk, because when the sand is so soft like that and the weight of them, it pushes a lot of the time and it just obscures the track completely. So tracking in sand can sometimes be a little bit hard, particularly if you've had a bit of rain and it's kind of caked the top layer. You can struggle a little bit with it. But at least we got lucky with her tracks kind of being quite clear further down, and then it was just basically, you know, following the tracks and led us to where they are, which is very cool. It's so interesting because it's right next to the main road, but because of the way the riverbed dog legs, you can't. All right, sounds like Steve's got something, so we'll just quickly send you across to him.
They're coming. Okay, well, you're back with us. We've caught up with our lioness on Triple M. Just going to be photobombed for a moment. Apologies for that. The cub is on the road behind. We have a couple vehicles, so we're going to do our best to try and avoid It is how it is. Another vehicle's going to come. There comes the little cub. We were driving past just now, and I went around the female, and then I turned around. This one was sneaking up behind Theo. A little bit of a crush on you, Theo, I reckon. Must be, yeah, he's very cute. Very cute. Look at all the spots. Oh, you're doing so well. I haven't seen you since October, maybe September, I think is the last time I saw this one. It's grown a lot. So they moved quite a bit from this morning. They were all the way on. Well, it's not really a lot for lions. This female hangs around a lot. It's towards Gowrie Gate. Very good. Okay, we're going to follow them. He's just had a look at the tracker and he's going, ooh, I like you too. Okay, let's move up, otherwise we're going to get them again in shot. So we're on the fire break now, everybody. That's Mr. Mobili, and this is Juma. So, depending on where she goes to, we've got good access. There we go, you can see a lion over there. So she's hungry. Cub's going to sit on top of the termite mound now and wait for her to catch some food, and we'll spend some time with the cub. Why not? Awkward. See how long the grass is, can't you? There's the gate. There's the boom gate all the way at the end there. How cute, her Carol. How cute is she? And it's a good thing. I'm pretty sure it's a she. Going to start helping Mum in the next 6 to 8 months. It's not just going to follow her around and eat what she eats, and to help her, which means the pride will go from strength to strength, and then she will have more cubs. And that's how pride starts. A lot of people say, how big is a pride? It starts with one female, everybody. And if she has any female cubs, those cubs will join. And then next thing you know, you've got a whole pride. Now, which way are they going to go? The wind is coming from the right-hand side. So from the east. She's now looking. See, there's the boom gate. There's how wild is that when you arrive in the Sabi Sands? There you get a lion. She's looking off to the east. There are other people in the sighting, of course. Notoriously little busy access, this one. Got all the lodges of the west can access this road, but if the lions do go off over to the right, they're going to be all ours. Okay, let's move up again. You see that little cub running? I reckon the cub's gotten pretty good at running. Mum can't always be there to defend it. Leopard 1, I have no idea. I really don't know. I can try to find out for you. Maybe one of our wonderful viewers can tell us. I remember when I first found this lioness in the cub, I was told it was the Shumungwe female. It was well known about, so maybe one of our viewers out there knows who the Shumungwe female's cub's father is. #WildEarth, let us know. Let me know. turning around to come and find her cub. The cub's calling, going, "Mom, don't leave me." Can you hear that? That's the contact call of a lion, and specifically of a lion cub. So while we're in the sighting now, we can inform you that after we closed the show this morning, Tanya's cub moved up onto a log, and we just moved forward 2 meters to have a look, and I fell in the biggest hole. And one of the vehicles with us right now from Simbambili stuck around for about 25 minutes to help us get out, and it's quite an affair, to be honest with you. We were properly stuck. We fell in a very, very deep hole. Here comes Mum. Okay, looks like they're going to go back over to Simbambili's side. It's all right. The sighting is becoming a little bit busy on this main road. So if anybody else wants to come... Looks like she's going back again. Which way is she going to go? Okay, we're going to keep with her. Maybe she's going to go east into Djuma, and then we'll be able to spend some more time with her. Otherwise, we'll have to leave. There's a grounding earthiness to this place that we feel in our ancestors. It's a place where, believe it or not, we evolved as a human species, and anyone who's come to Africa will understand that. The connectivity that the continent has to the person and to people's souls is next level. I'm thoroughly looking forward to taking you on your next adventure when we explore all the small and big things.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth. If you love to watch Wild Earth, then we are inviting you to join our Explorers program. For a monthly subscription, you will have the opportunity to win fantastic Wild Earth expeditions. Join our guides for a chat around the fire, receive weekly highlights from our shows, and much more. All the money will go to keeping these live safaris on air, which in turn allows us to escape into nature every single day. Our first Wild Earth Explorers competition has closed, and we have a winner. Congratulations to Chantal Sleep from Benoni in South Africa.
I felt totally overwhelmed for winning this prize. I will be taking my son with me, and I can't wait to share this experience with him.
Chantal and her son have won a behind-the-scenes Wild Earth experience at the magnificent and beyond Ngala Tented Safari Camp. The prize includes a 3-night stay and a chance to sleep out in the unique Ngala treehouse.
I would like to thank Wild Earth for making this dream come true, and I encourage everybody to subscribe, to become an explorer, and stand the chance to win these amazing prizes, and so much more.
For this month, we have a brand new prize. You could be jetting off to Tswalu in the Kalahari for a 3-night stay at the luxurious Motsi Lodge. Open to all Wild Earth explorers who have signed up before the end of January 2021. Terms and conditions apply.
As you can see, we're still sitting with Thandi in the cub. It's a bit of an awkward angle that we're at the moment, but they're fast asleep and not really doing much. The cub still hasn't emerged. He's kind of tucked himself in around a very thick little bank of grass underneath this fallen over bush willow, which somehow is still surviving even though it's fallen over. I mean, if you look where the roots are and how kind of broken this tree is and how the roots are sticking out of the ground, you would think that this tree is dead. There's actually 2 different trees here. There's a knobthorn and a bush willow that have fallen. But the bush willow is the one with the roots that are all out. Now, those roots, still some of them sit in the ground, and so somehow this tree is able to produce nutrients, and slowly but surely it's now growing back up vertically at the end to start straightening to try and reach the light. It's really incredible to see when trees do this, how they utilize a base to start growing. And it's probably why they haven't removed it from this riverbed, is because it's still very much alive and very much a part of the landscape. It's no need to remove this. Yes, it stops our access up and down, but quite frankly, that's nothing compared to kind of having a beautiful tree that's still growing, and you can see it's even seeding. If you look, there's the little pods that give it its name, russet bush willow, because of how rusty they are. They're at the kind of end of the tree, and this beautiful little orange kind of speckles in amongst the green. Now, I was talking about it earlier, but it's just a reminder to those that maybe have only just joined us. We are going to be doing a fun little exercise that hopefully a lot of you will participate in. For those of you that don't want to, that's also perfectly fine. It's not necessary, but we're going to be doing, asking all of you to please participate in sending us a 30-second clip of you basically in nature and what it's meant to be in nature during the lockdown, because ultimately what Wild Earth is all about is nature and reconnecting with nature. What we do here is to try and give everybody a semblance of kind of hope and to try and take people's mind off the day-to-day things. Even prior to lockdown and all of the things that have been going on over the course of the last year, we've been trying to sort of connect people more and make people understand that the natural world is a very important part of not only our survival as humans, because obviously we eat a lot of what's in our natural world in the form of plants and things like that, but on the other hand is that it's good for our mental health, and a lot of people don't take care of their mental health, so it's important that people do spend time in nature. It really is something that can connect you and make you feel whole again. And it doesn't have to be, we're spoiled. We get to sit out here and we get to look at crazy things like leopards and cubs, and we have elephants and we have all these amazing creatures, but that's not really the whole kind of thing of it. I can be just as happy here in this reserve with leopards as I am taking a walk in the mountains of Hoedspruit, where there is very little in the way of large mammals, and it's all about birds and insects and beautiful big trees that grow on this escarpment. So it's just really about getting out and finding a space for yourself where you can process the stresses that we all have in our lives. And so, like I say, if you do want to participate in all of this, you're welcome to send a 30-second video of something that you've done during the lockdown, or somewhere that you went, something as like going to the park and going and seeing the ducks that are paddling on a pond, or a little spider that's in your garden, or whatever it may be that is kind of feels like you've reconnected with nature during this time. Send it through in a horizontal format, so not vertical, for those of you that use Instagram. And yeah, we'll put it all together, and I think it'll be a really cool thing to see all of these people from around the world that are similar to yourselves and us, and what kind of this is all meant by getting in touch with nature again, and realizing that there is a lot to be said for looking after one's mental health by being outside, and connecting with what goes on in the natural world. And if you want to send them through, you can send it on whatever platform you're on. So at FC YouTube, Wild Earth Live on Facebook, hashtag Wild Earth on Twitter, and then on the website as well. You can send it through there too. And kids also. It's not just about the adults. I'm sure there's been a lot of kids that have watched our show over the last little bit, and the lockdowns particularly, because it's been difficult for a lot of you to get to school and actually have normal lessons and things like that. So we want to see lots of kids videos too of you guys enjoying yourselves out in the natural world, because the younger generation, is the most important generation when it comes to a lot of this, because they're the ones that are going to be saving these species at a later stage when you guys are older. So it'll be good to see how families and everybody has kind of decided to join in the fun. Tandy even turned around to listen for this one. She was like, I'm going to sleep on the other side facing away. And she's like, actually, hang on, I need to listen to this myself. I wonder if she has little timeout moments of her own in nature. I'm sure she does. When her cub has just been on her case too much and the stresses of kind of raising him, I'm sure sometimes she goes and has alone time and finds a little tree and flops down and just watches the world go by. I wonder if she processes that as kind of relaxation. These are the odd things that we sometimes think about by spending so much time with these animals. You start to wonder if they feel the same way that we do sometimes and do things for the same reasons that we do, like a little alone time and just taking it easy and relaxing. Must be some of them, these leopards must have seen some of the most incredible views in their lives. Can you imagine some of those trees that they've lay in and just watched as elephant herds have meandered past, and, you know, buffalo and all kinds of random things that they would have seen in their time as territorial individuals within these areas. Hey, Michael, has it been a long road that you've walked? Yes. 14 years of walking this area. It's quite a little innings you've put in so far, Tandy, that's for sure. Certainly deserves her rest this afternoon, given how much she has done over the years. Okay, here comes the cub, though. Look, the cub is going to come. Come play with Mum. Here we go. Hello, boy. You're growing. And the last time I saw you was only a month ago, but you're already much bigger. Oh, that was what I was hoping for, is the two of them to come lie together. Perfect. Thank you, my boy. And perfect timing, too. All right. Well, now that the two of them are sitting together, I'm sure that they'll kind of keep interacting. Let's send you across to Pinder.
Look what has popped out in front of us. It's hard to believe that these rhinos were in this area that we've been checking thoroughly for the leopard. And we weren't able to see them. And we are now driving a road that we have already driven. And here they are. They just walked out into the road in front of us. And these rhinos, I did mention to Glenn earlier that we've been seeing some rhinos in this area. I was hoping that they would be around. I'm going to send you across to Ngala quickly.
So, myself and Sebastian were looking for the Birmingham Pride sub-adults, and we've just found them stealing a hoisted baby impala carcass out of a tree. And this lion is actually up in a bush willow tree. It looks like it's almost wanting to fall out. And it's trying desperately to steal this kill out of the tree that a leopard must have hoisted earlier today. And you can see some of the other lions are actually waiting at the bottom. Both of the white lions are at the bottom there, as well as one further to the right. And it's such a comical scene to be watching, because this young lion is really trying hard to balance on that tiny little branch and steal that carcass. It's got it hooked on the claw. There you can see it's actually starting to chew. This is incredible. It's the first time I've seen one of these youngsters stealing a carcass out of a tree. Oh my goodness. She's really trying hard to get it down there. She's nibbling on the end. So that leopard has actually done a really, really good job of hoisting this carcass. But she's gonna fall. She got a piece. She got a piece. It's done a really good job, because that's the weight of a lion pulling there. And that carcass did not budge, just a piece broke off as she slipped. You can actually see some blood on her paws as well. doesn't look incredibly comfortable. And this light is just perfect. Look how golden she is with that bright red of that fresh meat. You can actually hear some growling as well, so the white lion at the bottom is quite unhappy because he also wants a chunk, and she beat him to that position in the tree. But you can see he's watching carefully to see if it's going to fall out. And this is incredibly important because for the last few days here at And Beyond Ngala, we've seen these 8 sub-adults of the Birmingham Pride breaking away from their parents, and we don't know if it's going to be a permanent thing. I don't know if you think it might be, but it's really important that they get any food that they can while they're on their own. Those young males are actually old enough now that they would naturally start getting pushed out of the pride, but like that white lioness now, she should still stay with the pride being a lioness, and she's younger as well. Look at those eyes in this light. So there she's gone up to one of the oldest sub-adult males. And that lion is going back for more. Have a look how it's stretching up at the top there, clawing at the meat. And all of the others are watching at the base of the tree, hoping for a chunk. See how that white lion absolutely dominated over the other one there, put it in its place. A bit of discipline and dominance issues going on here. That white lioness is very interested. So we know there have been some hyenas around as well, which is also making them a bit nervous. And that lioness is not giving up. She got quite a good chunk there. Nearly fell out doing it. She might fall backwards. She's actually lowering herself down the tree. It's the first time I've seen a lion do that in person. Wow. Usually they're not so elegant and they fall out. Whoop. Oh, now you might get a bit of that. Oh, another fight. That's a different one, trying to get up now. Much more elegant than the first and higher up. Wow. Oh my goodness. This scene is absolutely incredible. It's the first time I've ever seen this happen in my 3.5 years of living here. And I'm really, really excited that it's these particular lions as well, because the Birmingham Pride is by far my favorite pride of lions. Because I think I get to spend so much time with them that you start learning their personalities. And you get to watch them grow up. And oh word, look at that with the eyes peeking out over the branch. So the young male has gotten incredibly big, and so I'm not surprised that he's the one instilling dominance over the others. I think the concern there is that the young males are actually so heavy that they might be a little nervous to try and climb. He's giving it a go, but you can see it's not nearly as elegant. He's almost struggling. Look at the size of that paw coming through that branch. He really is going to be a massive male when he's older. Those are the two larger of the sub-adults, so I think they're feeling a bit left out at the moment, being so heavy. The others are just sitting off to the side there. They've already polished what they had. It's gone. And that white lioness is still looking very interested. in what's happening around her. The young male on the left seems to have forgotten anything's happening. Oh, look at those teeth. So there's a lot of yawning going on, a lot of moving of the tongues, licking of the lips. That's a sign that they are feeling quite active. Even though they're settled down for now, it's purely because they found a spot where there is some food and a little bit of shade, and I think they're actually going to keep moving for the rest of the night. We're incredibly close to our eastern boundary here at and beyond Ngala, and I think they might actually cross out overnight into the rest of the Kruger National Park. So I think what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to move you a little bit forward into the gap. And I can still hear a little bit of, some scent marking. That's unusual. He's quite young to be scent marking. But again, starting to break away from the adults. It's almost that time now where they might start wanting to stay away permanently. I was saying earlier, I can actually still hear some bones crunching in the background every now and then, and that might just be the end piece of the leg that doesn't have much meat on it. There, you can hear the crunching. That lioness is still looking up into the tree. So there was actually still a piece that stayed there. It was quite well hoisted and stuck in the tree. But it looked like it was majority skin, so I think they've got what was left, which was around the rump and the back legs of that baby impala. There's definitely not enough to feed them, not even one of them. So any chance that these cats get, any of the big cats are opportunistic. So any chance that these youngsters get, they will steal anything that could feed them. A little bit of interaction there between the two males. He is absolutely beautiful, that white male. They all are, but I think there's just something special about him. It's so nice as well to see how much their manes are coming in. Have a look at that hair in between his front legs already. And you can see his shoulders are all muscle. And he's sniffing around the base of the tree, hoping for some scraps. Even white lions are incredibly rare. There are only 2 that we see here in and beyond Ngala, but actually in the wild, there's only 3 that we know of that were born in the wild naturally in the world. And so that's a really, really rare animal to see, especially knowing that these 2 were born completely naturally. A lot of the other white lions that might be in other reserves or in other parts of South Africa were usually bred and then released into those areas. So people unfortunately like to find something like this and breed it to be kept in places like zoos because it is unusual. But in the wild, we only know of 3 at the moment that are natural wild white lions. So it's an incredible thing to think of if you think of it that way. And how lucky are we, and how lucky are you as well to be able to see them like this, 2 of them in one place. I love how he's curled the tip of his tail up to almost a perfect little circle. Dizzy, we have no idea if the leopard is here. It might have been, and maybe when it heard them or saw them coming, it might have moved off. I certainly haven't seen any signs of it here right now. I haven't heard any commotions. I haven't seen any movement. But I think even if it was here, it would have moved quickly when it saw these lions coming. But I'd be very keen to see, once the lions have moved off, how long it would take for that leopard to come back and have a look if there's any of that carcass left. I don't know what he's got behind the tree there. It almost looks like he's catching flies, but there's another one climbing the tree now and almost falling again. Two fighting over the tree currently. That sound is incredible. She's flattened herself in the grass there, trying to protect that last little piece of leg that they've got in there. Wow. So that lioness is actually very far up the tree. I'm actually going to move us a little bit back. Oh, there she's jumped out. And she's hidden herself so well. I think it's very interesting that only the lionesses actually climbed up and managed to steal anything. This is definitely a first for me and something I will never forget. Sitting here and watching the white lions and their brothers and sisters and cousins, half brothers and half sisters, climbing a tree to steal a leopard's kill. It amazes me, the grass is so long at the moment. That white one, she really stands out very well, but knowing that there's actually 4 lions in that little patch of grass. And from here, you can actually only see the white female clearly. So driving past this, if she wasn't a little bit into that gap, you'd actually struggle to see them unless you actually heard the sound of them fighting over that carcass, or they lifted their heads like that. Oh wow, what a jump. Thinking really hard about the next step. So lions are quite a lot heavier and bulkier than a leopard, and so climbing a tree is not an easy feat for them. Look at those claws that are sticking out, holding onto that bark of the tree. It's not often you get to see all of the claws so beautifully exposed. She's trying so hard. And wondering how to get down again. See if I can move you a little bit back again. The white one's coming back over to investigate. She's actually balancing herself on that branch, 1 foot behind the other. It is actually quite a narrow branch for a lion. Quite a logistical problem for her to figure out which branches can hold her weight. It's a bit of a challenge to see how she can get there. So the leopard was actually very clever to put this carcass in this particular tree, because a bush willow has a lot of stems coming out, a lot of branches, so it's not easy to climb because you're constantly trying to move around all of the other branches. Ooh, getting wobbly. Whoa, she's slipping. at those muscles while she's tensing in her shoulders. Jojo, this is incredibly fascinating. I am loving this. Whoa. Oh, there she goes. An elegant landing for a not so elegant slip. I wonder if she's going to try again. You've got to give them points here for being really tenacious about this. They are adamant that they are going to get this carcass. Trying to sniff for little bits that may have fallen off. It's actually very interesting as well, now that I'm thinking about it. That lioness that was gripping on so hard, it shows how tough the skin of the impala actually is for not breaking when she was hanging onto it, even with those sharp claws. But I think what I'm going to do, I'm definitely staying here for a while longer to see what happens, and hopefully one of them will climb back into the tree and try and get the rest. But I'm really, really loving sitting here, so I'm going to be here for a while, I think.
Welcome back, everybody. We have spent a bit of time with this pair. They were very interested to cross the boundary to Buffelshoek. There's been a couple of elephants that have walked past, and there was a few impala, and, well, a whole herd of guinea fowl. This one, in particular, is being very vigilant of the lions. Now they're going straight towards Sydney's Dam, and I don't want to move just yet in case I lose a signal. But there were a whole lot of impala around that have moved off. Now, everybody, please, we would like to still encourage you to do those videos if you can, finding solace in nature. And if we could encourage you, please, to shoot horizontal videos, not vertical. So with the flat phone and not the phone upright. Please, it will be much easier to deal with. And to highlight the importance of helping out others in times of stress and anxiety. How is it that you are getting by in your day? Please feel free to send through those videos to #WildEarth on Twitter, @WildEarth Live on Facebook, and @WildEarth Official on Instagram. Sorry if you've done them already and you did them vertically. Please, if you wouldn't mind, I'm sure you won't mind doing them again horizontally. Imagine we've got to show them on a TV screen, so it'll look much better that way. Thank you so much for doing that. Now, we're going to try to stay with this lioness and her cub, heading over towards Sydney's Dam. I'm not sure what the signal's going to be like, but for now, we're in a good spot with a long lens. And, well, we are thoroughly enjoying our afternoon. It sounds like another cat afternoon, so who knows what next will present itself.
So this lioness that has just kind of fallen out the tree is still adamant that she wants to get back up the tree here at Anbion-Ngala. There is actually no carcass left that I can see, but she can clearly still smell the blood on the bark or something, and she's trying to work out how to get there, but you can see how heavily she's panting, so she's quite tired from climbing. But she's still hungry. Her belly is not full. She can actually hear the young white male contact calling. That's why she keeps looking over. Wow, look at those eyes. She looks like she wants to give it another go. I'm really hoping you can hear that subtle contact calling in the background as well. Can you hear the bark crackling on the tree as well as her claws are sinking in and she's climbing? Oh. Shame she really is looking for a little bite. So that all of the other lions have settled down. And she is just adamant that there must be something more. She's got a bit of blood on the side of her ear and her cheek there. She's going over to investigate what the others are eating. Oh, there she's finally laid down. Can you hear the crunching of the bones? One of them is definitely still chewing. So that's a sound that is so hard to describe, actually. The feeling of sitting here with them snarling at each other, crunching bones in the background. There you can see that one is actually chewing. And that's the noise we can hear. The white one's trying to climb the tree now. She actually is sharpening her claws. You can see the bark flinging off the side. It's amazing how these lions are all sniffing around at the base of the tree. They've got such good senses, so any tiny little scrap they would be able to smell and find. All I can hear is the claws of the white lion in the tree. Can't even see it. There's her tail. It seems that on her checklist for today, she doesn't seem to be the most amazing climber. Maybe she chose a bad approach. David, that is the best motivation that any animal can have out here, actually. Well, personally, I think for a predator, hunger is definitely that motivation for them. They've got to take every opportunity that they can. We don't know where the adults of the Birmingham Pride are at the moment, so we don't know how far apart they are. And you've got to keep feeding yourself out here, so being opportunistic is the only way that they survive. That hunger can drive a whole lot of things. He's actually got a little mohawk sticking out on the top of his head there, one little tuft of hair in between his ears. And a whole lot of flies on his ears. And tear marks, scarring, and all these fights that they have over carcasses. And looking up into the tree again. He's actually got a few flecks of blood on his neck there as well. So that might not be from now. We know that they actually killed a wildebeest calf yesterday. So some of them are still fairly full from that. Maybe he just didn't do the best job of being groomed or grooming someone else, and so he's still a bit dirty. The young white male is the one that you can hear contact calling in the background. And that contact call is him communicating with the rest of the Birmingham Pride. Specifically when they're trying to find each other. And she's actually looking in the direction of where he's calling from. And they might be able to hear something that we can't. Maybe there might be contact calling far in the distance that we can't hear. You can see she's got her eyes and ears trained in that position, staring. And she has got very beautiful eyebrows. You can see them sticking out there above her eyes. Wow. She's a beautiful lioness. You can see she hasn't eaten a lot. Her belly is almost empty. So she possibly didn't get a lot of the carcass that they had yesterday. She didn't get any of this that we saw. And we've got another one climbing the tree and slipping. And now it's a game. Those two are direct sisters. They're incredibly close and they spend a lot of their time still playing with each other, practicing their skills. There you can see she's tapping the other one's back legs and biting the tail. Things you'd want to learn to do when you're hunting. Actually, both of these lionesses have not eaten much compared to some of the others. It's no wonder they're still trying to get up that tree. You can actually see the size difference quite nicely between the two there as well. The white lioness is a little bit taller than her sister. And something we've noticed with the white male as well. He seems to be a bit larger than his brother. She's got a very fresh cut on her right ear as it joins onto her head. Craig, yes, lions actually have been known to sleep in trees. There are particular prides of lions that are very well known for sleeping in trees in certain areas of South Africa and in Africa. We certainly haven't seen it here at and beyond Ngala with them actually sleeping in the tree. But I know that there is actually a pride of lions at and beyond Phinda that have been photographed quite a few times, relaxing in the trees. So it certainly does happen. So we're actually going to get some action here. The white lioness is stalking her sister. As her sister's edging closer to the tree, you might actually see her get tackled by the white lioness. Almost. Everything that these big cats learn comes from playing when they're young. And that's the most important thing that they can do. You even see lionesses and adult lions playing every now and then. She seems to have the best approach of all the lionesses so far. See some blood on her paw there. Incredible. So it actually looks like you'll see the young male is coming out in front of me now. Looks like they're starting to move off towards the left And that's the direction that the young male was contact calling in. And the white lioness is about to pounce again. So we've got a little bit of playtime over there on the left. She keeps biting her sister's tail. So I think they've now officially lost interest in the tree because there is nothing left for them to eat. They've finished up everything that they could. And so now they're starting to move slowly towards actually the direction of the Timbavati River. So what we're going to do is I'm actually going to sit here and watch what happens. But speaking of climbing trees and all things leopard, we're actually going to send you over to and beyond Phinda for a leopard in a tree.
Finally, guys, we managed to find this female leopard. And it's a tree. She's in a tree that I checked thoroughly with binoculars, and I even walked around in this area. And I was saying to Glenn while we were searching in this area, there was a herd of impalas not too far away. And like I was saying to you all earlier, I think she, at that time, was trying to stalk those impalas, which would obviously mean she was hiding and would make it extra tough for us to try and find her. And while we were sitting with those rhinos earlier, just before all the lion action, we heard some baboons barking or alarm calling quite a distance away. And so we rushed across to investigate to see which direction they were looking. And while we were sitting with the baboons, we heard some impala's alarm calling. And so we went with the direction of the baboons and the sound of the impalas, because the baboons were up on top of the mountain, so they had a great vantage point. But in a straight line to where this leopard is now, assuming that the baboons were alarm calling at this leopard when she was moving on the ground, it's probably a good 1.8, maybe even 2 kilometers, which is unbelievable. So they have got exceptional eyesight. And so we came back to from the baboons to where we could hear the impalas, and there she was, in a tree which we've already checked. But a tree that I have not seen this leopard in before. She's just getting comfortable.
Talk about the flesh.
So there is another vehicle that has joined us with guests from Phinda Mountain Lodge, and they're enjoying the sighting with us, so you might see the odd flash of light. And I'm going to send you from one leopard to Tristan with another.
Well, as you can see, we're still with Tanya and Cub. We have had the most epic afternoon, particularly with the Cub. He's full of beans this afternoon. He's been coming up to the car and just staring, then walking away, then playing. He's irritated his mom no end to the point where she's now left. And now he's going to go up on the rocks, which is pretty cool. Look at that. Always wanted to see one of Tandy's ones on these rocks itself. And now he's going to sit right next to us. Hello, boy. Isn't that pretty? It's unusual for us because we don't often see anything on rocks itself. You find that generally in the Sabi Sands we don't have too many rocks, and so they become, something that we never really picture our leopards on. But he's sitting perfectly for us at the moment. And like I say, he's irritated his mom no end. She was trying to sleep and he kept jumping on her and just thoroughly annoying her, so she was very irritated by the time she left. She was snarling and growling and hissing at him, at the wind, at the trees, at us, just everything. And then she just went up the rocks, and as he tried to follow, she lashed out at him, and he's now stayed behind and she's left and gone off on her own. So we're not going to be able to stay with him much longer, because as it gets dark, he's still too young to be spotlighted and left on his own with us at night. So Generally nighttime, it becomes a close sighting with Mom now gone. She, obviously we can spotlight her, and if she was here it would be okay, but by himself, not yet. He unfortunately is not of the age where that's possible. What are you doing? It's the most ridiculous pose I've ever seen. And see, no, it doesn't work like that. Leopards don't hunt at night only. But what generally happens is that because the day is warmer and that they were on a kill this morning, she's spent the day resting. But now that it's cooled down, she's going to go and probably scent mark more than anything else because of the fact that they've been on a kill. How long they were on that kill for, judging by their stomach, maybe at least a day or two. So she's going to go mark territory, and if she comes across something on the way, then yes, she will hunt. From there, she's then going to... come back, fetch the cub and take it. Now, that hunt could take place tonight. It could take place tomorrow during the day at any stage, because we know with Thandi, she's not a only nighttime hunter. She'll hunt during the day if she has to, and she does pretty well even in the daylight hours. So it's not restricted. You can actually hear him scratching. Isn't this cool? A throne for a little prince in many respects, these rocks. It's so interesting though, since Thandi's left, every time we move back, he follows us and then stops and watches us. If we move forward, he comes. If we move back, he comes. And it's like he's just kind of interested in what we're up to because Mom's left and he's just full of beans and is bored. That's what it kind of feels like this afternoon. Sit there. There's a good place just to lie down. Right there. Turn. And then face us and then lie down with your paws over the edge. Come on. And that is exactly what I was hoping you would be doing. Isn't that cool? I was hoping he was going to lie like that. To be fair, the rock structure is helping predict that he was going to lie in that direction because of the slant and the slope. Generally, what they like to do is not lie with their back on the slope, because otherwise, if they kind of turn, they can fall down. So they generally like to kind of lie with their feet down slope and their backs up slope. So it was not too difficult to predict that this is where they were going to be. Doesn't he look spectacular up there? You see the size of his head already. Do you see the neck area? How it's growing? Getting absolutely huge. His shoulders, everything is developing just like a male leopard would. His ears are less fluffy than they used to be. They used to be a lot fluffier than that. They're changing slightly. It kind of seems as though his cub fur is thinning out. Even his body itself is not quite as white as it was. He had a very thick sort of whitish fur in between everything. Yes, elephant, we understand. You've been harassed all afternoon. We get it. Oh, Ellie has not been enjoying it at all. The whole afternoon we've had shouting Ellies all around us. Not that it's perturbed Thandi's cub or Thandi, to be honest. Both of them haven't worried about it at all. Alright, well, we'll just sit here and enjoy this because it's as good as it gets. Hopefully he'll settle back down and lie down for us to keep enjoying for a little while longer.
How insane is that animal?
This is out of this world. Fantastic. Good, Mama.
Wow, what a way to start off.
Just such an incredible privilege to be out here. It just keeps on delivering.
There you go, there you go. Heart is pumping right now.
3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Look at this, everybody. We've got a live kill.
The croc's holding the tail. It's holding tight. Lucky wildebeest.
There's nowhere to go. This is a disaster in the making.
Something that I have never seen before in my entire life that you are now watching live.
My heart is in my mouth, everybody.
Look at this. It's gonna make it. It's going, it's going.
This is just too magical. Hi, little guys. That's great, isn't it? Look at that. Scuba Steve has got a friend.
You've got a friend in me. It couldn't be a better morning. This is just too special.
Oh my goodness, we've got a turtle.
How epic is the fact that we're coming to you live from the Chobe River? It's the most incredible feeling to be here. This is live, and we're in Rwanda. This is a very, very different adventure, charged with emotion.
I did not think I would ever face my fears like this.
Welcome back to Sydney's Dam on Buffelshoek, everybody, where our lioness is sitting on the dam wall surveying the area. Her cub is a little bit behind her, hasn't joined her yet, but all the animals that were around have sort of filtered away. There were some impala in the distance that she could see, but right now the wind has picked up quite a bit, as you can probably hear on the microphone. Good for her, though. The wind will make hunting a little bit easier. So with regards to those solace videos, everybody, we're going to be putting together a video about everything that gets sent in, so don't do it. It doesn't have to be today. We're going to be talking about it over the next few days, reminding everybody. It'll be really nice to get an accumulation of people's happy place videos put together. I'm actually quite excited to see it. Happy place videos of the viewers doing what they do, letting us know how it makes you feel. That's what's important. How does it make you feel in these interesting times? So there's many words to describe it. Interesting is one of them. We have been super blessed to be able to find solace in nature. And the simple purity of nature is infectious. So while we sit with this lioness, we send you over to Tswalu, where it's probably a little bit brighter, where they've also got some lions of their own.
Alrighty guys, have a look at how cute this is. So we've been following these females with the cubs now for quite some time, and the cubs are just playing as they go. It does look like the two females are looking to hunt, but now the cubs have taken the opportunity to, while they are active, practice their hunting skills as well. You'll see every now and again one of them disappearing into the grass, and then they start stalking each other. As soon as the one comes by, they pounce. We'll have a look now. They should start doing it again soon. You can see the females there in the front. They constantly, while they walk, they scan this side and they scan that side to see if there's not any antelope around. You can see how long the grass is at the moment. I mean, those lions, well, they disappear completely. So you can imagine how easy it will be for them to stalk at the moment if they do start stalking. As long as they've got the wind in their favor, there's going to be a bit of playing now by the looks of it. Missing one of the cubs. See, there's the one dropping down again. Let's just see, maybe we get lucky and we see them playing on the road. There we go. Oh man, they're cute. Yeah, so there's the mom of the cubs, and then we don't exactly know where the other female's cubs are. Like I said, she's a little young. Oh, the cubs are a little younger, so she still tends to hide them sometimes, you know, in the rocky areas or just underneath a thick bush or so. And then if they do make a kill, she'll go and collect them again. But these older cubs, they're now at that point where they'll stick with the pride regardless. They'll just, when they start stalking, drop down behind a bush and wait there until the chase is finished or the hunt is finished or so on. Let's just see what these little guys are up to. There we go. We're very happy that they got active quite a bit sooner than what they normally do. You know, today was a warm day, so with that being the case, they could have gone active only a little later, typically speaking. Yeah, the sun is dipping behind the clouds now, which is cooling it down significantly. You can actually feel the temperature dropping. But now there you can see both females and, well, two of the cubs. The one cub is just off the road on the left-hand side, making a bit of a roadblock for us. See this one playing with the bush now. Cubs are the best. As you can imagine, all the playing and, you know, doing things tire them out quite quickly, so they're going to want to start relaxing a little bit soon. But as long as the females are moving, they'll follow. Let's continue going behind them. It's amazing having the lions so chilled with us, you know. They're going to play again. And this is crucially important, especially at this stage of their life, you know, when they're still finding their feet and so on, for them to practice, you know, stalking and pouncing and doing all of those things. Very, very important for them to hone all of those skills for one day when they need to do the, you know, actual hunting. Yeah, guys, we're going to stick with them for a little bit, see if these females find something to maybe potentially stalk. For the meantime, we're going to send you over to Tristan, okay?
Well, talking about lions, we've just come up to this mating pair now. They're behind me. I was just trying to get ahead so that they could walk towards us, which I think that they should be doing. Indeed they are. And this is the perfect little place to pull off because there's a little side road here, so we don't even have to disturb them, which will be nice. You can see Mohawk is following very quickly behind this lioness. Is not letting her out of his sight, which is very typical for mating lions. It's part of why I'm sure Tundi moved the cub further north. Where her kill was this morning is less than 200 meters, 300 meters from where these two are. And she would have heard this mating. She will have been able to differentiate the noise from leopard and knows that the cub must be safe, so kind of shifted the cub up and away from this area. Are you just going to mate right here? Well, he's trying. She's not really interested at this stage. All right, let's operation get ahead of them again in the hope that they will mate somewhere close by. So where we are now is exactly where we had Langa yesterday. We're going to go past the same mound, same tree, same everything. It's pretty amazing how it's been such a concentration of cats in this area of late. That's nice with them both stopping side by side, but just try and get in front without destroying the whole car. Alright, here we go. Look at that, they're both walking straight towards us. Try and get my cap out the way because it absorbs all the infrared light. Doesn't look as receptive today as she was yesterday. Just listen to them as they come past. It's fairly close. I mean, here's my hand right here. That's not exactly where I thought they would stop to mate. Hello, boy. I'm trying to just keep my hat out the way. Like I say, my hat absorbs a lot of the infrared light, so just trying to make sure that it's not in the way. You see how he's scent marking? The guy's scraping his back legs while he's urinating. Typical scent mark from a lion. Hello, boy. Haven't you changed? It's never used to be like this in the past. It always used to be fairly kind of nervous of cars and things like that. He was always one that stood a little bit further away, but dominance and time around vehicles eventually leads to a much happier, more relaxed cat. No, you guys can't lie here. Like I say, to give you an idea of just how close that is, I mean, you can't even see him where I am. That's ridiculous. You too? You can't be here. This is too... I don't know. Maybe I'll just wait it out and they'll move. I'll just try and duck out the way. It's not a great view with the steering wheel, I'm afraid. Starting should be fine. I mean, both these animals are big and strong enough to not worry about us, but you never know. Sometimes they get a bit of a fright, and I don't really want to disturb them. I suspect that if I did start, he might kind of... Although, maybe not. Either way, it's closer than I was hoping that they were going to stop. Weird how sometimes that happens, though. Like you saw, is that you gave them quite a lot of space to walk down the road. They were kind of where the junction of the road is in the background, and just so happens that they decided that, well, she decided that this is exactly where she's going to stop. But they will move. They are up and down when they're mating like this. It's not that they're stationary for massively long periods of time. I wouldn't be surprised she gets up and goes now, and then he follows her, so we'll just be patient. I'll contort into a ball in the steering, around the steering wheel, and you'll still be able to see the two of them. You can see she's at least up again. She was lying down, but... Did you just pass wind next to me? Because that's unacceptable if you did. I think that he did. It sounded like he just passed wind right next to us. That's not funny. On a more positive note, though, I'm going to be back on Chitwa tomorrow morning first thing for a very good reason. Tandi's cub made a big poo in front of us, and that's exciting because, well, we know that we haven't got his scat. So I'm going to come in the morning. I don't have a vial with me, otherwise I would have collected it this afternoon. But I'll come in the morning and hopefully they won't be there, and I can collect a sample for his scat, and then we'll be able to work out who the father is. If we can get the scat, I would imagine for Mulawati it would be probably him, but you never know. We know we've got scat for Tingana in quarantine, so it should be able to, if it's either of those two, would come up. Are you comfortable there, sir? I wonder if he likes my shoes. Time walker? Yes, quite. Unfortunately, up close and personal. It's not nice when he's letting rip right next to me. It's fine when he's just sitting there because it's not like we're in any danger. But when he lets rip, what comes out of the bowels of a male lion generally is not very good for one's nostrils. In fact, it has a burning, singeing effect of putridity, if that's even a word, as it kind of enters one's nostrils and basically discombobulates the brain into a complete breakdown of tears of sheer despair as that waft drifts into one's lungs. So it's not so much about him being close, it's more about the fact that it's highly unpleasant to be smelling him right now than anything else. Okay, we're going to switch out. Hopefully these guys will move, and we might try and move ourselves and just reposition in the meantime. Let's send you across to Swalo.
So guys, these lions just picked up on something. You can see she's moving with a little bit more intent as well. The cubs also immediately. Let's see what they saw. Come on. So yeah, guys, I'm not sure what they're seeing or what they picked up on, but with them actively hunting, I'm pretty sure that must be something like that, because the other female disappeared completely. So it could be that she may have made a kill, or they're picking up on her that's making a, setting a trap or something like that. We'll just have to see. They've disappeared now completely. Got them. Okay, yeah. Let's just see. Here's both of the females running on this side now. Let's just see what they are up to. I wonder if it's not something. There's a lion cub. Wow, why is he over there? See one of the cubs standing way in the distance, guys, but he's not supposed to be way over there. These animals seem to be scattered all over the show now. Just have a look and see what's cooking here. Not quite sure what they picked up. It could be something like a hyena or so also that they're smelling, and they just want to get out of the area with the cubs being close by also. It's difficult to really say, but yeah, this grass is so long, it's difficult to see whether it was like a warthog or whether it was maybe it could be something even as small as a steenbok. You can see they're definitely looking around. I've now lost the second female again. They're definitely paying much more attention to whatever. So I'm not quite sure. There I see the second female now. Seem to have relaxed a little bit though. Let's continue following them, see if there's something that jumps out. But yeah, I'm not sure what they saw or what happened or anything like that. It's difficult to say in this long grass if it was small. So yeah, we're going to have a look quickly, guys, and see if there is something. If there is something, we'll come straight back here. But for the meantime, we're going to send you over to Steve, okay?
Welcome back to Buffelshoek, everybody. Our lioness has moved off into the long grass. Impala started shouting. He's left the cub behind. We're completely dark in the infrared, no lights. The Impala, the direction the cub was looking in, the Impala was shouting from there. And now Mum moved off. See how she's going to follow Mum? With her smell. I'm not saying that Mum smells, everybody, but lions are able to track each other with their noses. I'd love to be able to do that. Where's Theo gone? Track you down there, Theo. So we might be able to follow for a few moments. Haymaker, we've had a couple cubs today. I'm not sure of what other cubs. I know we've had this one, and we had Tundi's cub this morning and this afternoon. I'm now going to try and drive in the dark, which is reminiscent of the cub is still on the top right of the screen, or is that a bush? That's a bush. Okay, we're going to have to... There's going to be no spotlighting of the cub, so... We'll try and find Mum. Theo's going to keep scanning with the infrared so that we can see where they've gotten to. I think the lioness was maybe trying to get around where the impalas were shouting from. We don't want to influence them in any way. So we're just going to give this a few moments, and if we're not lucky, we're going to move off. No lights at night. Obviously, I've just got my headlights on now, so I don't hit anything. The cub was off to the right somewhere, and Mum, I think, might have done a big loop. We're just going to try a little loop over here. So, Mo, I know how it feels. Lions in the long grass. See if we're going to have any luck.
So yeah, guys, I don't know what the excitement was about, but the only thing that we can think of is there must have been a steenbok or a warthog that ran through here, and it got the attention of the two females. The one female is still behind me, lying in the grass. She's gone into a more relaxed mode, but this female with the cubs is definitely still scanning and checking what's going on. Quite strange though that we didn't see any movement. However, I mean, in this long grass, you won't necessarily see the animal running. You'll see the grass moving, maybe, if it was a small animal like that. But definitely showing some interest, which is always nice to see. I'm very sure they're going to look to hunt this evening. So it would be quite exciting to be able to spend like the night with them with the infrared light or infrared camera to not, disturb the sighting at all or anything like that, and be able to see what they get up to. It's always nice to be in the sighting but not having an effect on it. And yeah, still definitely scanning around. I don't think the cubs really know what they are supposed to expect at the moment. Luckily, they're rather preoccupied with either playing with themselves or with one another or so. So So we'll have to see how it pans out. But I'm not seeing any movement from any other animals at the moment. So yeah.
As you can see, we've managed to put some distance between us and those lions. I personally think that was the evoker's retaliation for my complete and utter disregard for them over the course of the last few years. I've never been their biggest fan, and I feel like I just got punished for it by being right there when he has passed wind. Luckily, we managed to kind of pull back, and now I don't have to worry. The breeze is now blowing away from me and onto them, so it's all good. But both of them are heads up. They're both fairly aware. Nothing really much has been happening since you guys last were here. He just kind of popped his head up and has been staring off to the west. I don't know if he's hearing something. I heard through much crackling and static on the radio that it sounds like there's another mating pair somewhere. So it sounds like Blondie's managed to find himself a lioness, and I wonder if it's maybe another one of the Torchwoods or maybe another lion pride or female from another pride. I don't know. I couldn't hear enough. I just heard somebody say another one, and they were with this pair. So maybe it's them or maybe it's another leopard. I don't know. I'll try and find out later. I'll message some of the guys and see what they were talking about. But we've been spoiled. A little Chitwa has been delivering in spades the last 2 days. I mean, yesterday was a phenomenal afternoon on Chitwa. This morning, Steve had an absolute rip-roaring drive. 4 leopards and a mating pair of lions in the space of 800 meters is not exactly doing too shabby. And this afternoon, we've had elephants, 2 leopards, mating lions. We even had our owl, not the wood owl, but the spotted eagle owl. So that was nice. It's been a lot happening, and I'm surprised because normally Chitwa Dam area is quite quiet at this time of the year because there's so much water around and it doesn't pull the animals in the same way. It still has a lot going on because of the openness of the airstrip and the clearing, and there's still things that do come through, but it's not as productive as in the winter months. But for some reason, all the animals are kind of congregating around this open clearing in the dam. Maybe it's just the drainage lines that run off it, off a safe haven for the cubs, which is what we've been seeing from the leopards. And the airstrip itself is kind of just central to Chitwa and sort of halfway between where the evokers normally hang out and where the Torchwood lioness was seen by Steve before they started mating. That could be just why and random coincidence. But lots of ellies around, which is also nice. So certainly is a productive property at the moment, and I'm not complaining. It's been so nice to see Sibui and the cubs and Tanya and Cub. Now we just need Kuchava and her little one. I had such a great bonding session with him in the beginning of December that I really would like to see him again this month. So we'll see. Hopefully we can find him in the coming days too, because it'll be good to catch up with her and him as well. All right, but it is that time of the day, unfortunately, where we are going to say goodnight to all of you. Hopefully, wherever you may be, you're going to have a wonderful evening, day, whatever time it is. I wish that you kind of have all the good things that happened today. It's been wonderful to have you all along for the ride in what has been an absolute thumping show across all of the locations. So from all of us, it's been an absolute pleasure. We'll see you all tomorrow morning on the Sunrise Safari.